What's good, YouTube? It's Jay here. Today we are back with the Modcast podcast featuring myself, Xerox, or I apologize, Zero X for f***ing sake. Oh wow, I'm gonna get demonetized already. That one bullet, and then we've also got one of my closer friends, Mr. President. ALTR guys, how the hell are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening that we're recording on?
Pretty good.
Doing pretty good.
Happy to be here. You guys have a good day at work?
Yeah.
Day off, so I'm chilling.
You have a day off on a Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
I can't talk. I have today off as well. But you know, you're in a time difference, Prez. You're like 3 hours behind me. Everybody else is within the same time frame. Actually, no, I take that back. Bullet, you're an hour behind me because I know where you live, and I won't say that and dox you. But I know exactly where you live. And Z, we're literally neighbors.
Yep.
So
You're saying that got a drone just circling Bullet's house.
This is the all-American.
Oh yeah, this is the all-American
version.
episode.
The all-American episode.
I'm gonna make that the title of the video.
Fighter jets flying over, you know.
You're actually giving me like incredible thumbnail ideas right now. I'm gonna Photoshop like a bald eagle, an American flag.
Bald eagle screech. Yeah. That's how you have
Wait
to.
a minute. Last episode, it was all Americans. It was. But remember,
That's
I thought one of them was a Dutchman when he wasn't a Dutchman. So
that's right. We had everything mixed up. Well, you had everything mixed up, and for 10 years, you did not ask that man if he was actually American or not.
I just assumed it. I just assumed, and like I said, I talked to him like a child, and he was probably laughing at me the whole time. So yeah.
Hey man, but we've all come to love your flaws and all. You know, your flaws are appreciated here.
I've come to love that you are now finally accepting my real name. Finally, that's a, you know, I've trained you well.
That blew my mind when I watched that episode, and I learned it was. I was like, what?
I feel like everybody's gonna say
I'm in the same boat with everyone's in the same boat as everyone else.
I've always called you Xerox, man.
It's hilarious because I'm a programmer and I didn't get the reference, and I was like, after you said it, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't connect
all
that.
This time. Are you kidding me?
I know.
Yeah, it sucks.
This is turning into like an opening tradition for this podcast, by the way.
Pretty much every new guest we have on, we talk about how your name is blowing the community's mind.
I know.
Every single time.
At some point, I'm just going to change it, and I'm going to become like some different person. Like, I'll change myself, you know. I'll be Nomada Firefox for the day.
Oh, God.
just make it easy to understand, and we get the reference. You should be okay.
Okay. All right. Here, I'll change my name to Elite Call of Duty Gamer Guy. Is that better?
Yeah, that's way better, actually.
All right,
I can pronounce that instead of Xerox.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so gentlemen, we got a lot of stuff to kind of talk about today. Well, I do anyway. I have a few questions here and there. Prez actually asked if I had some questions before we started this podcast, and I promise I'm not just BSing them for the most part. But you know, I've known you guys for a while. I've made a lot of content around Awakening of the Rebellion. I've got like 3 or 5 or 6, however many different playthroughs on the channel from over the years. And I just want to ask, man, how's everything been going? Like with ALTR development. You know, and how's everything just kind of going over there? Like, how's the new like update or whatever that's coming? Like, how's that looking? If you could talk about that.
It's always. Let's just like our team has a lot of ebbs and flows. Like sometimes we're on like you know, full steam ahead mode. Sometimes it's kind of slowing down. Right now we're in the slowing down period, but that doesn't mean we don't have things we want to do ahead. We're kind of in the design, like prototyping stage, because we had just, you know, come out with the Scum and Villainy update. So that was a pretty big one.
You know, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, usually after a big update, we kind of just like mellow out,
take a breather.
Because it's always that push to release is always rough.
I feel like a lot of mods have been doing that recently, like, because I feel like there's always a kind of like an end of the year quota with a lot of mods these days. Like Empire War Expanded released a new version like mid-summer last year. Remake released a version. Then you guys just released a version, and there's like a 6 or 7 month time span where no mods really update unless there's like a game breaking issue.
I know. We should really coordinate and stop releasing on the same day, because I swear I don't know how it happens, but it just every time it's like we announce, somebody else announces, and then they just come in waves. It's so weird.
Yeah, like I said, it's like a yearly quota. You guys are like game development companies. You got a Call of Duty every year, a Battlefield, and a Halo.
Seasons. It's like seasons now, right?
Yeah, seasonal content updates. I think Republic at War is probably the only one that's like in full development right now and about to release within some like reasonable amount of like weeks or months, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, can you guys please nerf Wookiees finally?
Yeah, we're definitely at full development.
Because
We-
dude, I remember doing.
Wookiees?
Yeah, I was okay. So if you're curious of the context, so when I was first developing AOTR, I had a YouTube series on it, and then I also did Republic at War, and I literally quit because I was playing CIS, and the Republic kept sending Wookiee squads, apparently unlimited, and unbeatable, literally unbeatable. If you're playing Republic at War as Republic, just use Wookiees.
Yeah.
So
that's a Easter egg, right?
Oh God. Well,
that's an Easter egg?
No, there was kind of it was kind of a
it's not a bug, it's a feature.
No, the Wookiees, that was supposed to be fixed, but it was kind of a joke to make them like really powerful, and nobody would ever even think to use them as infantry, but I guess the AI figured it out. So
the AI loves them.
Yeah, well,
I was like, after like the 5th planet of just a doom stack of Wookiees, I was just like, all right,
I'm done.
So for anyone that's curious why that ended, that's why it ended.
Now, normally I hear about the death stacks of Jedi. This is the first I'm hearing about Wookiee death stacks.
The death stack of Wookiees.
Jay touched on something that's interesting though about the whole mod development cycle. I think we have to blame the economy. It's so sad that inflation is causing mods to have to reduce work. I mean, prices are going up, times are tough. Mod teams got to lay off people. You can't get things done. That's just the way things are. There is definitely a overabundance of modders. So I'm sorry, guys. I mean, that you guys are going through that right now.
See, this is how you know this is a real American podcast, because somehow, in some way, we got inflation involved in the conversation about Star Wars.
It affects everything. It affects even modding. Look, see, this is proof right here.
We have to lay off someone from this podcast.
It's all about cutting the bottom line.
The Republic had to save costs. Clones are expensive. Wookiees are cheap. Right there.
The Empire learned that. They made good labor.
They've got a whole planet of Wookiees, right? And they're willing to die so that and they're great warriors.
Wait, so the Wookiees are willing to die? That's part of the war?
Yes, yeah. For those of us to die, we salute you, right?
They based the clones off the wrong species. That's
right. Yeah, they probably. I mean, can you imagine Chewbacca wearing clone armor with like the helmet doesn't fit right?
Dude, you know what though? I unironically mildly want to talk about inflation for just like a second, because I was telling my mom recently about like some smoothies and stuff I've been eating, because if you don't know, I've been going on a bit of a weight loss kick, been eating healthy, cutting back sugar, drinking like detox smoothies and all that stuff, working out a lot. And what do you mean
detox smoothies?
Detox smoothies? That shit don't work.
Look,
shit,
I'm on the same kick you are, bro. And my wife got me these, like, I don't know what the hell they were, these Bolt House drinks that look like sewage, and they just smell awful.
And see, the detox smoothie that I had strawberries, bananas, kale, and one other vegetable in it, and it cleaned me out. Like, I drank it before I went to work. Worst decision of my life.
So you're cutting sugar and you're drinking bananas. Bananas are full of sugar, my friend.
Well, yeah, but they're natural. I'm not like eating like chocolate bars and all that nonsense anymore.
So when you blend up a banana, like in a smoothie, how much worse it gets for you is it gets a lot worse for your health if you blend up a banana in a smoothie.
How does that work?
I don't know the exact science behind this. You can look this up and check it, but blending things in a smoothie brings out more like sugar content.
about to.
I don't know, but I
I'm about to
do
Google
know
this
in
right
my
now.
house there are 2 people that love banana, things mushed into like a paste, and that's my toddlers that love bananas, and they like things mashed into a nice little baby puree there. So, but Jay, I'm on the same weight loss kick you are, but I've lost like 21 pounds, man. So I'm
21, damn
yeah,
son.
21 pounds in 30 days, and I'm not a fat, I'm not a heavy guy to begin with, but my age and my lifestyle is somewhat sedentary. I'm not out there, running marathons, but
Well, do you think I could take you in a fist fight?
I don't know. You're a lot younger than me, but younger me probably not, but older me maybe. I don't know. So I don't know.
Either.
I mean, like arm wrestling or
oh no, like full on, like just like a fist fight, like we're like in the streets just brawling.
Like not Roman Greco wrestling.
Nah.
No, all right.
We're talking full on traditional American boxing in the middle of a fucking like New Orleans street. Like that's what
I have no idea, dude. You could be full on beast mode for all I know. All right. I mean, you could be Wookiee mode, right? I don't. You could be Death Stack Wookiee. I would have no idea.
Bully, by the way, that's still kind of funny to me. Like, of all the things you could have complained about with like old Republic at War versions, you had Death Stack Wookiee squadrons.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that
Well,
before.
because I was the one brave soul that decided to play Confederacy. Because I was like, I always see streams of Republic or whatever.
I
and I wonder
know.
what it's like to play. I don't think you guys balanced it around the Confederacy at all.
No, well, look. There are a ton of Republic fanboys out there. Like, I'm not sure why. It just seems like the gamut of fans seems to love the Republic. I have noticed a lot of the streams are based on the Republic as well, and it's like, hey, there's a whole other side over here, and they're just as fun. But that's not the complaint I usually hear, though. Bullet. I never hear about Death Stack Wookiees. It's usually, complaints about the over-aggressive AI or the ridiculous amounts of vulture droids that I usually hear about. So,
Oh, you can deal with vulture droids. You can't really deal with Wookiees.
well, that's true. I mean, what about
Like-
Wookiees riding vulture droids? That would be something. Probably.
Like one Wookiee squad, I remember could take out an AAT in like 3 shots. So
Jesus.
I was like, okay, something here is a little funky.
I'm gonna go boot up Republic at War after this episode.
It's probably has it been. I don't know if there's been a version that's fixed. I mean, this was in like 2000 and
Like
14.
yeah.
I'd have to check the change log on that, but it's possible that got nerfed. But if not, I am making copious notes right now, and we will finally change that. Right?
Can you finally add Y-wings? Okay, thanks.
Those have been in since 2012.
Oh, they have been?
Yeah, they've been in there a long time, man.
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is how out of date I am.
See, you were too focused on the Wookiee death stacks. You weren't really
I
paying
know.
attention to the rest of the mod.
Yeah, you couldn't even get to them yet because the Wookiee death stacks were killing you.
Damn.
I know. They didn't need no Y-wings.
So one thing I wanted to ask, by the way, because I know a lot of mod teams are kind of working together nowadays, like especially with Republic at War returning. See, I know you've been feasting to get back into the community and kind of work with people. Are any of you guys like working together on any stuff for the foreseeable future that you could talk about, or is that just
The 2013?
yeah between ALTR and Raw?
Not directly, but some of the people making models are contractors as well.
Are people.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
So-
Grimly, Kalani. They have done a lot for our mod, so they're in our community as well. So we're not directly collaborating.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they,
but you're just like outsourcing a little bit, like in a way.
Yeah, they came to me actually
Yeah.
when we took them on as they asked if it was okay if they could still, what's the word, subcontract out to AOTR, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, as long as there's no conflicts on either team, I don't care, right? So
Yeah.
And Grimly and Kalani are good guys, and they're like a pair, I guess. Together. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're awesome dudes.
Yeah, they're good guys. So, we actually just took on another 3D artist and an animator also, who's pretty impressive, and he's jumping right into it. So we are like fully stacked on art, but I'm not going to turn it. If somebody wants to join, I'm not going to, believe me, there's work. So it's not like I'm not going to say no,
Right. Okay, that makes sense. One thing I've also wanted to always ask, when the hell was AOTR like developed? Like, when did it start? Because you mentioned 2014.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, is that a bad subject?
No. I could take you guys down the journey. Although I can't. It's probably best if you actually get the original SMG crew like Steiner and Wolf on here.
Okay.
Because there's some awesome stories there that I'm not able to like.
I know
tell.
some of those stories.
I know
some because it goes
I
back
know.
a ways. Yeah.
I know quite a bit. Like the Voltox thing and the
God.
like. Yeah. So there's a lot of history, but AOTR has been around since the demo of Empire at War, apparently.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one of the originals. Yeah. Steiner, and I forget who the other people were. I think Razil, Kanos, or somebody. There's a bunch of people. There was an old AOTR team, and then there's the current AOTR team. It was like
Steiner
it's like
and Raziel Kanos.
Yeah.
Those two guys. And by the way, just one little anecdotal thing here, Jay, about AOTR. AOTR and SMG, the Steiner modding group back in the day, as they were known.
Yeah.
They were kind of like the Chiss, right? Like they were way the fuck out.
Okay.
Yeah.
No one knew where they were.
Uh-huh.
But they were out doing things that were like really badass. And nobody ever would encounter them in the wild, and then all of a sudden they'd like pop up and like release something.
It just exploded with all this like incredible stuff.
Like it would just cause all this like consternation, like, oh my god, did you see what they made? How'd they do that? And then they would just disappear back into the unknown regions.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they were not on any of like the big modding sites back then. They weren't like in any of the drama. They had their own drama, but they weren't in any of the, they weren't involved.
Yeah,
in
they
any
weren't
of,
in like the community drama, like the known drama.
That's right. They weren't involved with anybody, and they would just pop up and just put stuff out, and it was all like on the code side. Some of it was like truly groundbreaking. Like holy shit. So I always equated them to the Chiss, like Thrawn, just out there like in the unknown regions, just making stuff, and they'd pop up and you're like, where the fuck did these guys come
Well,
from?
hey, this podcast needs a Star Wars brownie point, so that's a very good reference regardless. Like we got to make sure we throw our Star Wars references in there where we can.
Oh, dude, no, I mean, I'm not going to say they were like the Vong because they weren't, extragalactic invaders, but they were definitely all alone developing stuff, and it was phenomenal, and it was all German guys too back then.
Yeah.
So, but and a couple of them didn't even, if I remember right, some of the guys, their language skills in English wasn't that great either. But I just know on the code side, some of the stuff like the scripts and the Lewis stuff, unheard of back then. And here these guys are doing it all.
Oh yeah. So there was like I said, there's that team. I would like to call them SMG version 1, and then there's SMG version 2, which is the current era, I guess. I guess the era when I joined is version 2.
We've had different eras of AOTR.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, like I said, it started on the original Empire at War. Steiner had started editing off of the demo, and then moved on to Empire at War proper. And then there was a short period of time where there was a mod called Steiner's Advanced Units.
Yep.
And that's, we actually still have code in modern AOTR that's from Steiner's Advanced Units, which is crazy. Like sometimes I'll like run through some areas and I'll be like, oh, this code is literally, or this these files are last edited since then. So that, like
literally
German comments are in German.
old.
Comments are in German. It's kind of nuts.
Oh
But-
yeah, I remember some of the audio from the early mod. I don't know who was doing it, but clearly it was somebody that was German, and they were doing some of
Yes.
the voices, and it was these thick German.
Oh, that's Steiner. That's well. So that leads me to another. Like we have a bunch of legacy stuff like that still in. Like our Dreadnought still speaks German because, and it's been like a meme because technically what that is it's, if you guys don't know, I'm about to drop some crazy knowledge, but the Dreadnought voiceover that's been in the game since the beginning is actually the German version of the Galactic Battlegrounds voiceover. For one of those units. I forget which one. I think it might even be the same one that's used for the Venator in Republic at War. It's the German version of it.
I just always loved your guys' mod because I'd be playing it and it's like I don't know if I'm attacking Alderaan or Poland. This is great.
Jesus Christ! Oh my god,
that's a great joke. I'm actually Polish, which is funny.
It just sounds like the one of the ships. It sounds like I'm commanding a Tiger tank.
Which it's funny because it actually kind of works because it's Imperial.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
It's like in theme, which is it's like that's why it's always stuck around. But yeah.
Wait, you're Polish?
I am. It's originally, yeah. It is pretty funny, right? Like a Polish guy is now in charge of the Steiner modding group
Of the German mod.
Finally, the revenge of Poland.
This is not an all-American podcast.
Three Americans and one Pole. Hey, it works out, man.
The Polish have snuck in here.
I was born in America, so I'd consider myself American.
Oh, yeah. Do you like hamburgers?
Yeah, of course.
Do you like fat and grease?
It's a great, nutritious breakfast.
Oh, there you go. You're more American than you give yourself credit for. There you go.
But
yeah, he's not drinking smoothies in the morning, at least probably.
it's vodka. Yeah, vodka smoothies.
Vodkas.
That's the key to how I've been able to mod Empire at War for 10 years.
Oh my god.
Vodka smoothie breakfasts.
Bullet, I was going through your guys' models the other day just because it's what I do. I just reverse engineer stuff, and I noticed you guys have the museum of
Yes, we
Empire
do.
at War.
We are.
You guys actually have a model in there from my old mod team, Legacy of War. That ATRT, that Wildcat.
Yes.
did, like,
Yes.
That thing is so old.
It is.
Jesus.
It is. Well, with like 100+ units,
With the green-
we're not able to like if something just works, then it just stays. Like, yeah, there's a ton of old stuff. I think the eWeb model from Bale Knight is in there, but that was even before I had joined the team. So it is literally the museum. You're right.
I laughed when I saw that ATRT. I was like, oh my god, and it still has the error with the green scope lens that wasn't textured properly, so it's still not fixed.
That's insane though. Like, you've had all that content in there for literally a decade and a half now. That's actually kind of crazy.
2006 or 7 that model came out. That's how old that thing is.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of the New Republic stuff, which we still haven't gotten to, is also really old Steiner advanced unit models, which were technically
EJ.
It was either Evil Jedi or
Warbnull.
Yeah, Warbnull. There's a bunch of stuff in there.
Like the Republic Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we haven't focused on any of the New Republic stuff. And yeah, the ATRT's in there because it's like a minor hero that's like one, like it's not a common thing you see. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's still in there that was permissioned out for a long time ago and just stayed in there.
So I do have a general question. This is for the both of you, Bullet and Prez, because I want to hear both of your just comments on this. So when did you two kind of like take up the reins, so when did you guys kind of join the project? Because Prez, I know you do something a little different from what Bullet does and vice versa. Like, when did you guys kind of get like on board with everything?
I'll let Bullet answer this one first, because
well, so this kind of follows the story I was telling earlier, which is like the part 1 of SMG. So there was a period after, I think 2010, they had made AOTR2 for Forces of Corruption, and they had released 2.05 was the last version on ModDB. This was, of course, still the one where the AI was shoved into the data folder, and you had I remember Z, you were talking about that Republic at War had you guys modified AI and stuck it in data, and we
Yep.
had done SMG had done the same thing, and so
I know.
yeah, a bunch of people's mods were just blowing up and people were pissed, and yeah, I was like, oh god, I was like, we were responsible for half of that, because if you wanted to jump between your mod and our mod, it would just like detonate.
It would just not work.
Oh god.
Yeah.
People claiming that we did it on purpose.
Yeah.
It
This is
Like,
sabotage.
well, no one knew any better, like you said. Like I forget, you mentioned somebody, I think it was Evil Bob or somebody, discovered that if you packed it in a meg, it was fine.
Right.
But we didn't find that out until, like,
Well, hey, that goes back to like
Yeah.
when you have mod teams not willing to share information for the greater good because they're all kind of hoarding it. What are you supposed to do? And I know that like the Steiner guys and us, we had a lot of Germans on our team, and we still do. I know there was a lot of collaboration back then. There was sharing of information from Steiner and Raziel and some other guys, and we all kind of thought the same stuff, right? And that was a long time ago, but we all kind of thought the same, like what we knew. And now we learned later that's not true, but hey, we also thought the world was flat also a long time ago too. So
yeah.
so I mean, shit, you learn shit and you move on, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot of, actually, maybe we could talk about it later, but there's been a lot of EAW modding myths that have been hilarious to see, like, over time get proved, disproved, and proved again, and like, this little thing does this, and then we find out that no, that's not how it worked at all, ever.
Yeah, let's have like a little myth section like near the ending part of this. That'd be so good. That'd be so
New
good,
series, AW Mythbusters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I really wish that there was like a cohesive timeline of like when mods have released and what they did, and like what, that would be so cool to see, because it is. Yeah, I want that 2-hour long video YouTube episode that just goes chronologically, because that'd be cool.
Well, we have discussed doing like a full on like history of Empire War kind of
history
deal.
of Empire War. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
Good
just trying
luck.
to like find the time to get everything together.
Good luck, like finding.
Because there's so much information that's either non-existent anymore, or the people that have that information just aren't in the community.
I mean, I break out the history and several eras, just like real history. Like there was the Golden Age, there was the Dark Ages, there was the Reformation,
and then there was, and then there was the debug exe,
right?
Petroglyph, which is like a godsend, and that's like the modern age. That's like when smartphones were invented, and now now we're in. Yeah.
When Mike NL released like every tool that was like including the particle editor, like that probably was, I'd say, like that was huge, right? I mean,
that was the Industrial Revolution.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Now we're in the age of information.
Right. That's true. Yeah, that's a good, a definitely good historical analogy there.
Yeah.
And it plays along with, and while you're in the while you're doing that, you can drive your dreadnought into Poland, with the
Panzer tanks,
Panzer tank commander, and have some Wagner in the background playing into the Star Wars music.
Jesus Christ, dude! Wait.
So, all right.
Yeah, back to
the rail.
Bullet.
Right.
Back to the history of Bullet and how he joined AOTR.
Okay, so where were we? Right, so they had released 2.05,
I think you said.
However, so I had come in, I think it was 2012 or 13, where I was in school and I was learning programming and also wanted to be a game developer, and then I'd been playing AOTR myself. It was like fully German, and I didn't understand a word of it, but I was just kind of experimenting, and playing Republic, or back then I guess it was the 3.5 Xerox.
Oh yeah,
I'm still gonna call it Xerox forever.
That's fine.
But like I was playing that and a bunch of other mods, and just was like, wow, this is like, this game is really cool, and just there's so much that you could seemingly do with it. So I started tinkering with it, and I just kind of naturally was enthralled with AOTR and the way it played. It was just very like just the original trilogy setting, and like it was, you know, you had the movie cutscenes. Even though they were in German, it was really cool to just like see that played.
It made you feel like you're a part of like the actual universe.
Yeah, and it was all very grounded, and like, you know, like one X-wing squadron was like really important, and it felt, I don't know, it just felt different. It felt more, I don't want to say tactical, but like it was just more like you could kind of role play when you played it, and I thought that was really cool. Of course, the whole thing was based on the Star Wars Rebellion RTS, which was their, apparently Steiner's inspiration was that old RTS game done in Empire War, which is why it's called Awakening of the Rebellion.
Okay.
It's that game moved forward.
That's actually a nice little tidbit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, if you notice a lot of the icons and a lot of the units and a lot of stuff, if you go back and look, you'll find some of the hero icons taken straight from Rebellion. Even just like the names of them too, and stuff like that. But so eventually I just started messing with it. My first goal was like, I wanted this translated in English so I can understand it. So I started doing that, and that was like my little, you know, I'm just gonna mess with it and start editing text files and this stuff and that stuff. And eventually I was like digging through the files. I'm like, wow, there's a bunch of Steiner advanced unit mods or units that got disabled. And I was like, I'm just gonna try and bring it back, you know, copy and paste some XML, and, you know, just slowly working through it. And the entire time I was also doing like a let's play of AOTR and just playing it. And then eventually I was like, well, I'm like editing it, and here's my progress. And I was doing it for myself. I wasn't planning on releasing it or anything. I'm like, obviously these people, I had no contact with Steiner. It wasn't my mod. I wasn't gonna like release something that, you know, isn't mine. So I was just bug fixing things. Like I would notice things that were broken, like infantry companies were broken or something. I'd just fix it for myself because I just got tired of, you know, having these bugs in the game.
Right, like dealing with it. Like you'd rather just take care of it since you know how to take care of it.
Yeah. So slowly, and then over time, you know, as you do that, bug fixes, you build up a knowledge of the language, of the conventions that the game uses, and then that's kind of how it started. And then eventually, I think there was a moment where, on a whim, I was like, well, I have all these bug fixes, and I have this translation, and like, I'd like to be able to release this because it's a quality of life like update, and I didn't change much gameplay. And so I was just like, well, how the heck do I go about releasing it? So I just start contacting, you know, people. Like I messaged Steiner, I messaged Raziel, I messaged all these people on ModDB.
What did you use to message them? What system?
It was ModDB at that time.
Oh, okay.
At that point, we're in that.
Jay's obsessed with knowing how people communicated in like 2014. I don't know why he's obsessed, but he asks that.
No,
How did you message them? How did you?
Well, before then it was Xfire. So, I guess that's another thing is like, so before I had started modding, I played a lot of the multiplayer for Empire War. I used to make maps with the map editing kit. And this was like before, this was like 2010 or 9, whenever Xfire and GameSpy were still online.
Oh yeah.
So
about right.
Yeah. So I was just like making skirmish maps and for people to play. And anyways, that was a random side note, but that's also kind of how I got into the game engine from that perspective.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then so I reached out to all these people on ModDB, and I was just like, hey, I have all these patches, like I know it's not my mod, but like I'd like permission to release it, like just can I, you know, do it? And of course, like I'll credit everybody. I just wanted this, you know, I just wanted to play better. And
yeah, you want to do something for the community kind of so other people can enjoy it.
Yeah, and then you know, literally like 6 months go by of nothing. Like when like Xerox is right, like they are the literal, like they were the unknown regions of modding teams. Like I heard nothing, and I was like, well, okay then, I guess, whatever, I'll keep it for myself and that'll be it. And then eventually, out of the blue, Steiner himself messages me, and this was like a crazy moment because I'm just like, holy shit, this person exists, and like isn't a ghost anymore, and I guess they're still around. And then he's just like, yeah, man, like, let's release it. I'll come back. I'll do some more work on it, and we'll just make an official patch. We'll call it like 2.6. Oh, because like 2.05 was the last public version, but I had scraped this version off the internet called 2.5, and it was like this unreleased amalgamation of some things. I don't remember where it was from, but I think it was on some German forum from SMG, and they had just released it there and posted it there. I think Wolf was also involved in that one, because he remembers that. And then so it was like this weird obscure version with like that wasn't even published anywhere. So I used that as the base, and then I'd added my bug fixes on top of that, and then that's how it became 2.6. So when you see 2.6 on the mod workshop, that's my first version that I had worked on. And then, you know, after that, I guess it's history. Like, you know, Steiner and I, we worked together. It was hilarious because he's like, yeah, like Xerox said, like they didn't used to speak English well or at all. So it was a lot of like, I'd take a screenshot and I'd circle something and I'd be like, I need this, you know, rigged here. And like, you know, like
these context clues.
Yeah, we're trying to get it together. Which it's funny because now their English is like almost perfect and it's hilarious. Probably because just like through working together now.
So wait, does Steiner actually, he still works in the mod, right?
Yeah, he's definitely less active than he used to be, but he definitely shows up every once in a while. It's like, here's a bunch of stuff I just made. Here you go.
Yeah.
And then he disappears again.
Yeah, Steiner is a lot like Warbnull is right now. I mean, he pops up like every, you know, few weeks or every month and a half or whatever, and he's, you know, he'll message me or he'll show what he's doing and just dips his head back down and just
goes back into the unknown regions.
That's why it took 6 months, Bullet, because they didn't have Google Translate back then, so they were probably trying to figure out what the hell this guy's talking about.
Yeah, right.
Good Lord, you guys are ancient. Holy cow.
Yeah, and then
meanwhile, this coming from Jay, who is obsessed with knowing how people communicated, because I think he's convinced one of us is going to say, yeah, use the Enigma coding machine, and I was able to reach, I was chatting with you know, the AOTR guys, and we were using you know, Telegraph.
Yeah, well,
you know, like signals that Bullet and I were sending to each other.
Right.
What is funny, you joke, but Steiner had told me, this is why you guys need Steiner on here and Wolf and shit, but he had told me that they were sending each other CDs with mod files because they were in Germany. Yes, they were burning it to CDs and mailing it, snail mail.
What the fuck?
And that's how they, yes, this is the German engineering, dude. This is how mods were made in 2000.
I've got to get, my God, dude, I have to get an audio clip of Jay going, CDs?
Yep.
I grew up with CDs by all means, but I've never in my life even thought of that as a form of transportation
DVDs,
for
CDs,
data
whatever.
like that.
Whatever, yeah, but they were literally doing that. This was the old way of doing file transfer.
No, dude. The old way would be using actually 1.44 meg floppy disks.
Floppy disks,
yeah, there you go.
Write the source code in a newspaper and send it, right? And then, yeah.
Good Lord, man.
That's how all those text to, you know, those old text games were made. They would give like pages of source code and you'd input it into your computer, and then you'd like just have a game on your screen. So this is dating me like hell, but anyways, so
that's just insane to me, man.
I feel like I'm talking to a bunch of old people because
I got my walking stick, man. I had to come here and sit down.
Jay's like, CDs, I see those hanging in people's rearview mirrors sometimes.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. What in the world? I'm sorry. Yeah, Bully, continue on your journey into the AOTR world.
So I remember we had that problem, of course, where, you know, they're all in Germany and I'm here in the States, and time zone difference, number one, language barrier, number two, and then the third thing is, of course, like, how do you share files? Like Google, I think Google Drive and all that stuff was coming, it was starting to become a thing, but they had a web server, apparently, on some file transfer. I don't even remember the name of the program anymore, but we were essentially able to upload to a server and download stuff. And it was like this was before Git and Perforce and all these tools, and it was just like some file transfer software. And of course, so you couldn't like merge or any of that stuff that you can do nowadays. So we had to be really careful to not like wipe each other's work. There's a lot of like, this is version 2, this is version 3, this is version 4, and you know, new latest version 2, you know, sort of thing. But yeah, eventually we were able to just like kind of send stuff. And I remember like transferring like a model file was like 30 minutes across, you know, because it's like send it off to Germany, you know, and then they'll get it in the morning or something, and then, you know, then they worked on it. So there was definitely like days where it was just like I typed something and I wouldn't hear back from them until, you know, the next day or maybe even next week. And it was just like, okay, well, like this is how we just work. And I don't know, it just worked.
I gotta give you a round of applause for even being, like, all of you for being able to even accomplish anything in that age with all the, you know, the limited tech, the language barriers, the lack of communication. Like, that's absurd that we managed to even get a fraction of the projects that we got now, like back then.
Oh, it was
That's
a lot.
insane.
It was a lot slower, of course.
Dude, they put a man on the moon, right? I mean, you know that. Yeah, that was what, like 30 years even before all this. So, you know, I mean, that's some crazy accomplishment also, right? I mean, and they didn't have any of that stuff that we had in
True.
In 2006. No internet.
That's true. That's true.
So, I don't know. I always find it interesting when like Gen Z people are just like amazed at like what we're doing in 2000.
I'm not associated with them. Okay, I'm a millennial. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's worse.
Them too, right? Like they're always amazed. Like, oh my god, like you guys. I mean, even my son, who, I mean, he just thinks I'm like old, like a grandpa, you know. I mean, he was asking me the other day. He's like, "Daddy, did they have TV when you were little?" And it's like, like, how old do you think I am? TV, of course they had TV. No, I mean, you know, TV. Jeez, oh man.
So wait, okay. I want to continue onward with Bull's journey, and then I want to definitely see how Prez kind of got involved with things, just so we can keep things a little consistent.
Jawohl.
Did they have TVs back in your day?
I know. He said that. I'm like, dude, I feel old as shit now, man.
Let me tell you about dial-up internet.
Oh my god. All right, but moving forward.
Jay has no memory of that. He has no memory of chat rooms either. Like he has no memory. I
had a PC with Solitaire on it and a Power Rangers game and like a Dr. Seuss game on like a disc. That was my PC experience growing up. Like random hard disk single player games that I played periodically.
My first video game was Age of Empires.
Ooh, nice game.
Yeah, nice game.
Nice name drop. Nice name drop there.
You could tell why I like RTSs.
Oh yeah.
The original, one of the originals, but
I remember the original Age of Empires. Remember the little the Stone Age guys? They didn't really have speech. It was just grunting noises.
Yeah. And the priest is a wolo.
Oh my god!
Convert your shit.
So if you just selected a unit and just went, oh, like every single time you picked it.
or the Cobra car.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was an Easter egg thing that you could do. It was a cheat.
Prez, we gotta let the grandpas like settle this one. This is
pretty much.
Dude,
this is well above my era.
That's still not as bad as the original Castle Wolfenstein, the old school DOS version. All the German bad guys, if you went up to them, they would say "Fufa-4." That's what they would say. Like if you encountered them, they'd yell at you and they'd go "Fufa-4."
Good lord, yeah. This is well above my era.
Oh, that was way. I don't think you were alive when that stuff was out.
My first like real, and then we're gonna go back to the topic that I wanted to continue with. My first real strategy game, I think, actually was Empire War. My first like Star Wars like experience, I think, was Battlefront 1 and 2. The first, my friend he had Republic Commando on like a demo disc, and we played that every single like time I came over, just religiously. Simpler times back then, man. We used to have fun just playing a damn demo. Wow.
Yeah. Battlefront 1 and 2 and Republic Command, like those games go up in, like, if there's ever like a Hall of Fame of video games, those will be there.
See, that's crazy
forever.
to me, right? Because there's like a decade difference, but my Hall of Fame game, and I think a lot of people hold this very near and dear to their hearts, is the N64 game Shadows of the Empire. It is literally one of the best games.
Oh yeah,
ever.
Shadows, yeah.
Oh man, and it was the first like game where you could do multiplayer with like four of your friends at home, like with the 4 controllers. That was awesome. So,
Yeah.
and the story behind it was awesome too. The book was great. And-
That was like a multimedia thing,
Yep.
right? Like
Oh, yeah, dude.
comic, book and game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the story was actually good, right? I mean, I remember thinking, oh my God, they're going to make a movie. It's coming, and then it didn't come.
I wish.
Yeah.
Hey, but
Well,
we
that-
got The Last Jedi.
Well, no, we got
God.
the special editions came out right after that. That was like 97. That's when they came out with the special edition Star Wars where they changed Greedo, to shoot,
Yeah.
Greedo shot first, all that crap, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's funny because Shadows of the Empire is another big inspiration for our mod, because our whole Black Sun, Prince Xizor,
Yep.
Underworld thing is all based on, like, that's where that came from. So, yeah, definitely, like, the inspiration. That's why, I mean, that's another reason why I liked AOTR, is because all these references to these older games and older, like, obscure pieces of Star Wars media back in that era, before the prequels, like Star Wars before the prequels was.
It was wild, actually. Like, looking back on some of the old media from back then, from the art styles to like what kind of characters and stuff we had involved. What were those robots that came from the Vong Galaxy? Those, like, I forgot what they're called. Have you seen those?
The robots that came from
The
Vong.
robots that came from the Yuzon Vong's galaxy?
Oh,
On it.
you mean the
Idea y'all are talking about.
Yeah, the Vong is the one part of Star Wars that I don't know shit about.
Wait,
so-
no. Is he talking about that one kid? Remember that robot that was like Lando Calrissian's partner in like
Lobot.
No, Vuffy Ra. That was
Oh.
the robot, and then like the robot grew up and like moved to some other galaxy where the Vong. Like, I remember hearing about that, like reading that. And I was like, what the hell? It's in the I don't know which. I think it's in Shadows of the Empire. Lando's running around with like he has this sidekick that's like a robot essentially, right? And the robot's name is Vuffy Ra.
You mean L337?
No, I swear it's called Vuffy Ra. It's sorry.
The robot that becomes the Millennium Falcon. Is that the one you're talking about?
No.
What?
No. Oh my God, no.
The Solo movie. Come on.
I know.
Come on,
yeah, dude,
I'm trolling. I'm trolling.
I
just so you
have.
know.
I refuse to watch that movie. I refuse. Like if there's a hell and I go
It's
there,
not
like,
a
force me to watch that
bad movie. It's just an unnecessary one.
Okay.
It just-
Anyway.
You'll see here.
Solo, and that's it.
Here, I'm gonna send you. Here's the Wikipedia article about Vuffy Ra.
Oh
Yeah.
Jesus!
Here,
Into
here.
Wikipedia we go.
But this is
Well-
what he's. This is Jay brought it up. This is. He went down
I
the
did.
dark
I did in
path.
fact actually bring it up.
Here you go. In
What
the,
in the hell
what?
is?
in the Solo trilogy, the
Oh
books-
yeah, this is one of the robots I'm talking about, actually.
Yes. This is, remember, like Lando's little buddy who was a robot becomes what he's one of these things.
Yeah, he's a Silentium.
Right, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Classic
Of
Star
course.
Wars. I'll put
You
these
guys should
pictures.
put this- you guys should put this in your mod.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Let me
wait.
get right on it.
All right, look, I'm gonna post this one too. This is the other robot that I was specifically thinking of, the Abominor. This is the one that I was thinking of from the Vong Galaxy.
What the- Dude, that looks like a
Transformer.
that looks like the Wish.com version of Voltron.
Holy cow, that's exactly
Like
what
a
I was
cross
thinking of.
between a sandcrawler and a.
Oh, it's a tank. Oh my! It's got treads and an exhaust.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work, right?
Oh,
Super science fiction.
This is like this has Thomas the Tank Engine vibes too. Like somehow, but Star Wars. This is just weird.
I'm convinced there are people out there that do this as like trolling, and they're just doing it on purpose to make fun of people.
Well, this is from the 80s or 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, there was lots of bad things in the 80s. So
That's
let's
true.
not.
It's from the Star Wars Droids, like television show.
Yeah, Velour was popular in the 80s too, Jay. Let's not bring that back. All right.
Goofy Ra. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. On one hand, when Disney wiped all this, like it's
That was
like
sad.
I think people do have a lot of rose-tinted glasses when it comes to a lot of this stuff, because it's like, yes, of course, let's make the Abominor like imagine having to like think about that as a new person doing Star Wars content. Like it's like okay.
Okay, wait. All right, we're gonna branch back. We're gonna branch back into this topic in a minute because I love it. Prez, you have the floor. I want to know your history of AOTR. We're about 20 minutes off from when I asked you the question earlier. How the hell did you get involved with everything?
Okay, so when I was like just starting high school, and someone had invited me over to like a LAN party night, and it was
Good Lord, all of you are so old. Fuck.
Dude, LAN parties. Great
Yeah,
name drop. Another name drop.
Dude,
we were
Halo 1 LAN parties.
Oh my
They were-
god.
too lit, man.
Dude, Diablo 2 LAN parties.
The Battlefront one, that was the best. Battlefront 2 console,
Yes.
Halo 3.
Galactic Conquest.
Yup. So,
Yeah.
anyway, it was LAN party, and we were all playing Republic at War. Now, the only problem is skirmish, we weren't really doing, like 3v3s because it didn't work too well. So what we were doing was we were doing 1v1s, except it was more like you had a group of kids on like one team and a group of kids on another team, just kind of like shouting orders at each other, fighting over the mice and keyboard, trying to, give orders and everything like that. Now, eventually what happened was we were all in agreement that Republic at War was just the best Empire at War mod, period. Nothing is better than that. Over.
Well,
Done.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It's correct opinion.
Wait,
And that didn't...
According to old ModDB, we
Yeah.
always thought Republic at War would never be toppled.
So,
Right.
I mean, yeah,
What-
that's true. Yeah, there you go. All right.
was what had changed next was and I started watching 2 YouTube Let's Plays because I was, this was my first RTS experience. I was kind of getting into it, and this was a lot of fun for me. It became the game that I played. And I started watching Bullet's YouTube channel. I was one of the early people that jumped on Bullet's Let's Play because I remember when he started it. I remember the AOTR developer diary type things. And I was kind of
ancient.
seeing how how fun AOTR looked, but no, there was no release of it. Like 2.05 was a much older version than what Bullet was playing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what Bullet was up to. And then 2.6 releases. 2.6 releases. I had no idea 2.6 released until Captain Shack's mod spotlight on it.
Oh yeah.
How
That's
long
when
ago was this?
That is the point where that blew up. Like this became more than just something. I distinctly remember that moment where it was like all of a sudden, all these people are like AOTR, and it was just this like super unknown thing, and I was like, oh god, I'm in the middle of this now. This is an actual like there's people now. There's expectations. Oh god.
Wait,
See,
what
this-
era was this? This has to be like
This
2014,
was
15?
2014, early
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Is
this was the part of Bullet's story that I was kind of hoping that he would get to, was when, all eyes turned to him and he was kind of the only person working on it.
Yeah.
And
that
the-
was-
And this is where, SMG version 2 starts coming
Mhm.
together. So I was when I started playing 2.6, I was addicted. I also sucked at the game. I was one of those people that would complain that the AI was too hard because it kicked my ass because I couldn't figure out what the pattern was when how the Empire attacked you from the very beginning. So there's definitely complaints on ModDB from one of my old accounts. That's like, man, game's too hard, man.
This game sucks.
Oh,
Yeah.
the classic
Wookiee.
complaint.
Yeah. Wookiee death stabs. You guys suck.
Yeah,
That-
like
It is,
pretty.
a side note, it's a very interesting thing. Once your mod gets labeled something, it is really hard to shake that. Like it's always AOTR is the hardest, this is the most challenging, whatever. And it's like, and remake's always just the graphics mod. And it's just an interesting thing that like, once you get labeled and put in a box, it's so hard to just like, get out of that.
I
Just
have to be honest. I have not heard those two labels as being applied to remake or AOTR.
Well,
Oh,
you
it's
haven't been around in a minute
Oh.
though. It's been like that for a while.
Yeah, man.
But I mean, but come on, like I know a lot of people, right? I mean, I talk to a lot of people, and I get pretty candid opinions from my team as well as people that have been around a long time, and I hear nothing but good things about remake.
Well,
And,
I mean, there's a difference between common sense and a complainer.
Yes.
There are just a lot of people that just like complaining. That
I'm
just
talking about,
outright.
I'm talking about non-public.
Outside of the
I think some of that is being driven by fans of other podcasts
Yes.
that are
Yes.
specifically saying those things because infer whatever you want from that. That's my belief, because I'm
No,
not hearing that from the people
100%.
that I'm not hearing that from like reasonable fans, and I'm certainly not hearing that from anyone that's like developing anything. Like I'm not, so
It's one of those things where it's like the loudest voice is not correct.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah. No, I would agree with that.
The lie has gone around the world a few times before the truth is finished getting its boots on.
I mean,
And-
look, we used to hear that crap. I mean, like there used to be accusations leveled at Republic at War, and the most common being that, oh, it's all vanilla. It's just a bunch of units, right? And I know that where those things were coming from, and it was just, dude, it was hilarious to hear that stuff because that was not anything even close to the truth. And I also used to love, it's all evil Jedi's models. You're right. Well, hey, I think like 40% of the space units are EJs, but again, the guy worked on our team.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's not an insult. Like it's like,
right.
yeah, it's literally his stuff, but he's on our team, so it's our stuff. Like what?
I mean, yeah, it's like I don't understand like this whatever, but there
was a lot of groundbreaking stuff in Republic at War.
Well, there
Oh,
was,
yeah.
there was a lot of groundbreaking stuff in AOTR, and by the way, we can definitely touch on some of this stuff when we go back to this Legends of EAW as far as the myths of modding. But Steiner always had, like I said, like as far as the Lua went and the ability for scripting, like this was something
Yeah.
that we all thought was pretty much untouchable. The Lua back then, as you know, when EAW came out, it was compiled Lua, right?
Yep.
Mike then came out with a Lua decompiler, but until then, all you could do was like hex edit the Lua, like try to reverse it, try to figure out, and then here comes Steiner, like fucking Admiral Thrawn, all of a
Just
sudden. and he's
reinventing
got-
the wheel.
Dude, he's got like all these scripts running and like all this stuff. Like he came out with, I just remember seeing this, and I'm like, holy
Let
shit!
me-
Like, what the
let-
hell?
I can actually pull up that Tsar mission that everyone
Right.
plays through. That was
so-
made. So literally, there's still German comments in here, and like this thing is as old as EAW modding itself. This file,
Oh yeah, I
which
believe
is-
that.
that mission where the freighter, you have to go through the freighters, and like
Yep.
yeah, that was like the first like I remember like reading this and like seeing it in action, and I was just like, holy crap, like this is crazy. Somebody went through and made a whole custom mission, which was, I don't think anybody had done that. I remember, and that might have even been the moment where I was just like, this mod, that's like the one thing that nobody has, which is a custom campaign mission.
Oh yeah, no,
Like-
Steiner was the first guy to do true.
I mean, it wasn't-
side missions that were
it
all
wasn't
script-based.
It wasn't Steiner. It was somebody. And you know, I don't want to like miscredit.
No.
somebody,
I
so, like,
meant
some-
SMG.
Oh,
His
okay.
modding team was the first one ever back then that had
Well,
scripted like story missions.
What's funny is back then you couldn't debug any of this either. There was no like, why is it not working, right? It's just it broke. And what's interesting about this is that the story behind the Tsar mission too is that the person that made it, this was the only thing they did, and then they quit Empire War Modding forever. It may have been oh god, like I said, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, so I don't want to miss like credit anybody, but
I don't
we get
remember.
it, yeah.
No, but there were lots of guys like that back then. Like they would pop out, they would make really good work. Like that Bale Knight guy, he was the one that did that E-web thing, and that was like
which was revolutionary.
I know,
like,
and then he just disappeared into the Sins of Solar Empire community.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were lots of guys like that. They would just pop out, they would release something really good, and then they would
just
dip out.
disappear,
Yep,
never to be
that's
seen again.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, why'd they leave? No, don't go.
Wait. So I want to go back for a hot second before we start like approaching like the myths and stuff. Prez was still talking about like how he kind of got involved. How he used to hate on.
I keep derailing it.
But the conversation's flowing naturally, so I don't think people will mind too much long as we go back to But either way, continue on.
Prez is used to me shutting down his conversations on the regular, so it's fine. Hey,
So you're the problem.
we should do this. No, I'm not gonna code that. Sorry, Prez.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I'm the one that has to spend 5 hours in Lua. I'm not doing that.
Yep, that's the summation of all of our design meetings.
Yep. Anyways.
Okay, so where was it? Shack Spotlight. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So I got addicted to playing 2.6 because I was determined to beat it on the hardest difficulty, and I eventually do. And then once I kind of figured out how everything started working, what I was doing was I was on ModDB, and I would start answering people's questions that would be popping up. Because there was me and another dude, Leia Mesa, that were just, constantly answering people's questions.
Which was a godsend, I will add, because I did not have time to, like, all of a sudden, like, people were, like, all over the ModDB page, and, like, first of all, I didn't even have access to that ModDB page for a long time. Steiner had to figure out how the hell to even add me to, the group, and so I was just, like, trying to help people. Yeah, but anyways, it was nuts.
So I was just constantly answering questions for people, and then fast forward to when Discord became a thing, and I got a message. So I got a message on ModDB that I didn't see for like a year because I didn't know that you could message people on ModDB because I was an idiot. And eventually I was going through an old email because my ModDB was tied to my spam email.
Right.
And I saw that there was a notification from Bullet, and it was like, hey, I see you've been really helping out a lot. How would you like to have a test version for the upcoming 2.7 release?
Right. Oh, so context on this is because up to 2.6, I think it was me, Steiner, and then Sly, which Sly was one of actually.
I didn't work on 2.6.
No, I know you didn't, but I'm saying like 2.6 was me.
Sly wasn't there. It was just you and Steiner. Sly came just after the.
That's right. That's right. It was after 2.6. You're right. Yeah. I don't even remember this stuff because it's just like this is
ancient history.
Yeah. Sly came on board. I think Sly was the third person to come on board, and then it was I'm pretty sure it was Maxim, and then Wolf had showed up, kind of resurrected as well. There's a couple of people that came and went during that time as it kind of settled. And then 2.7 was the next project, which is just like, okay, well, now that everyone seems to really like 2.6, we have things like I remember there was like a huge like discussion between me and Steiner of like, well, what was, because Steiner still had things he wanted to do, and I was like, well, what is, like, do you just want to keep going? And yeah, it just, but of course him and I wouldn't be able to do this alone. So yeah, then came the mass, like I remember I was like reaching out to a bunch of people that were like seemed
Interesting.
Like trustworthy,
and you were-
interested.
yeah, and Prez was one of them. So anyways,
So,
you
Now,
take it away.
this what happened here was like, bro, this blew my little teenager mind. And,
How old were you at this point? Like eight,
I'm
like
not
17?
I'm not gonna reveal what.
Nothing.
Whoa, did you guess 17?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm not that old. Like, Jay, you are. There's a considerable age gap between the two of us, bro.
Okay, that's fair. Hey, I'm not that old, damn it.
I know. That's why I'm saying there's a considerable age gap between us.
I'm that old.
Oh, we know.
He's like, yeah, we know, dude.
So, basically, what happened from there was I never gave a test build out, but I always had people coming over to play it.
Okay.
And AOTR became super popular at my school, and I was
What?
AOTR.
I don't
like,
even know this. What the hell?
what happened was because of the LAN parties and things that we were having with games like this, other people started wanting to join, and then other people like started playing it on their own and on their own free time, and then AOTR became the one that everyone chose, because with the people that I hung out with and the people that I was around, everybody loved the more tactical gameplay of it, the smaller scale, everything mattering. That's what we loved. AOTR became the Star Wars game that was played at my school. And I
That's
was
insane.
Yeah, I had the tester built.
You had the insider scoop.
I had a direct line to bullet.
Yeah. Another side note, you really need to get Maxim on here because there is an AOTR board game and he will tell you about that.
What? Can I get a copy of it?
If you can print it and make another version of it, dude. Maxim is probably one of the other coolest dudes ever. I just like
An AOTR board game.
Yes, there's and it is he developed it, and his whole story is just, anyways, it's another great one, but
it's great. But
Wow.
so
But
I became the insider.
you guys don't have T-shirts though, and we
dude, you don't. I wanted to make.
so our team, like way back. Oh my God, you have to get this guy General Tantor on here. Like I don't know if he, like, yeah, he made shirts or sold shirts, but like people had shirts with Republican War, and it was just so like I did not want one of these, but there were people
What?
that had them. Yeah,
Dude,
there were
I
people-
was. Prez and I have joked many times about starting a merch AOTR store because it would be so cool to just spot that one person wearing it in public and being like, "Holy crap!"
I just remember someone asking me like way back, like, "Come on, like you don't want a coffee mug?" And I remember thinking to myself,
Hell yeah, dude!
No,
Send me one. I want a
remember
mouse pad. I want a
I
mouse
remember
pad.
actually answering. I was like, "Get the fuck out!" of here."
What? Why not? That sounds so awesome.
Because it just seemed so ridiculous at the
No,
time,
it's
right? Now it doesn't, but back then, I mean, it just kind of did, right? It just seemed like what? Like, no, this is,
Gotta cringe.
yeah, not. It was just
What?
like unbelievable. Like I thought I was being put on, right? It's like, get out of here. Like,
Yeah, bro. I'd buy Republican War merch.
I would too.
me?
I would, 100%.
Dude, you
All
can
right,
totally
let's do it.
here. You can Venmo me right now if you'd like.
Yeah, set up a store.
Oh, wait a minute. I have the money right now. I'm kind of broke.
Make an Etsy, and then
Well, that's actually not a bad idea. I'm a little too broke for it, so if you guys, if
I'm
anybody,
sure.
Dude, I
Well,
already have
we'll-
I already
we'll
have the
do this
perfect
part.
shirt for Bullet. I survived the Wookiee death stack.
Dude. Oh,
that's actually,
awesome.
but that's actually a good idea.
It would just be a picture of like that circular thing with 136 of Wookiee pop. Like that little the
Yep.
fleet icon.
you have
know
the
what I'm
little
talking
disc.
Yeah, the little discs that are stacked, and it just says like 136 Wookiees. Dude, mail me, dude. I will send you money right now. What's your Venmo? I'll cash app you.
I think that the scariest moment ever in Raw is I saw a stack like that, but it was all those Saboff destroyers.
Oh no, that's another. I forgot.
Oh
about
yeah, those things were broken.
There were like 94 of those, and I was like, oh no. And it was on it was on Coruscant, like like Max.
I'm going to teach you how to pronounce this damn planet's name. It's Coruscant.
What?
Coruscant.
I just said that.
You said Coruscant.
No, I didn't. I said Coruscant.
I swear to God, I heard Coruscant.
I don't know how you just pronounced it. A minute ago, you were like, it's Coruscant.
Yeah, I'm emphasizing the syllables. You know,
There's no Ru. All right. There's no Ru.
Insert Thrawn's revenge joke.
You know these are fake words, right? That are just made up.
They're real to me, okay?
Hey, dude, I've been living this shit for just like you. I dream in Empire War sometimes.
Dude, let me look.
Do you have Empire War dreams? I do.
Dude, I have.
It's like a fever dream sometimes.
I used to go to bed when there was like a coding problem, and like I would just get pissed off, and I'm like, I can't figure this out. I'd go to sleep, and then I'd wake up in the morning, and I would like have that eureka moment.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Yep, I know. Yeah. But yeah. But Jay, these are still made up words.
All right, back to President, since we have no respect for the beautiful name that Coruscant is. So, Rez, you're more of a tester / community kind of guy, but so I'm fully aware.
I'm gonna skip forward a little bit in my story here. So, because I feel like I'm one of the, I don't know, because my name is thrown around more than the average developer, I feel like I'm the most well-known developer that doesn't really do anything.
That doesn't really develop.
That's right.
That's not true. You've done all the sound effects.
We'll get to that in a second. So, how I actually joined the team, because I was a tester. How this happened was one of the things that I've always had is I've had kind of a voice acting talent. I've always been able to do impersonations and things. You'll catch me doing it all the time. And I got really pissed off about one particular voiceover that was just being repeated on so many Imperial units, because Empire is my favorite faction to play in AOTR. And it was the XG1. And I literally said, like, I kept being like, Bullet, can we please, just do a different voiceover? Do you have other audio? And it kind of was like, nah, man. And then I got ignored every time I asked that, to the point where
sound effects were like at the bottom list of my priorities, but yeah.
Dude, that was the bottom list of a lot of mods, right? I mean,
yeah, except in Republic at War, when a Venator gets shot at, you hear clones screaming, which is probably one of the fucking coolest things. when I like
home scream, dude, we actually added that in.
But like even the guns with the shells, the shells ejecting and shit, like every time it like blows up, you hear a clone scream. Like that was, to me, I was like, I never thought of sound effects in that way in this game until you guys did that. And I was like, holy shit, that's such a cool idea. You don't know how much a little thing like that increases the atmosphere of the game you're playing. Like it's so weird. Like these little things you hear or see, just like amplify the experience so much.
I agree, man. Yeah, it like little things like that. Like it always pissed me off in vanilla, right? Where like everything just seemed clean, right? Like everything's just perfect, and all the ships are clean, and the sound effects were just too clean and precise. Like you don't hear anyone really like dying. Like even the deaths on land are very neat and tidy. Like I wanted shit to blow up and like fly around. That's why we did like death clones where you see pieces flying across the screen.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Because actually touching on the Republic at War sound design, having seen that when I started doing my sound effect shit, Republic at War was actually a starting point for me. But we'll come back to that in a moment. I recorded a voiceover, and it was for the XG1, and Bullet has heard this a few times, but my voice, if I don't have enough water throughout the day, my voice gets really deep and scratchy sounding. So if you ever play AOTR and you click on the XG1, that's just me talking. There's no filters on that.
Really? That's you?
That's just me talking.
What is the actually? What's one of the voice lines from it? I can't remember. Is it like Starwing reporting?
Yeah, Starwing Squadron reporting. Gunboat squadron standing by, forming up for an attack.
That's you?
That's me.
Yeah, that's Prez.
Dude, I used to be so mesmerized with the way that voice sounded. It just sounded so cool and deep. Starwing reporting.
That is
all the droids, not all the droids, but most of the ships in Republic at War, all those battle droids, that's me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Vulture droids are Geonosians, right?
Yeah.
No, actually, those were made by, oh my god, what's that dude's name?
They're not Geonosians? I swear to God, that's the Geonosian, like...
Yeah, no.
No, they're Jawas. They're Jawas.
I think it is.
They're Jawas.
It's Jawa and something else. Like,
It's Jawa.
all
It's
mashed
Jawa.
together.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. It is, because I was like... There was a moment where I was just like... I was watching like one of the Star Wars movies, and I heard a Jawa talk. I'm like... And it just triggered this, like... memory of like, dude, that's the fucking sound of Vulture droids in Republic at War. Like,
Yeah.
how was that the whole goddamn time?
Yeah, I think the guy, if I remember, I think he took the Jawa effect and ran it backwards
Yeah.
and then added like a metallic sound to it
Yep,
and then
yep.
sped it up real fast. So, and it sounds hilarious.
It's pretty ingenious.
I thought so.
Yep. A lot of remixing and reverse engineering.
Yep.
So anyway, after I created the Starwing voiceover, I sent it to Bullet and was like, okay, it's done, add please. And then got ignored. Yeah.
Get back
For
to
like- For like five.
How long was it?
It was a good chunk of time. Until eventually it just got to the point where it was like, okay, dude, because obviously these are good lines and you know what you're doing. Why don't you learn how to code these in yourself?
All right, where are these sounds at, Prez? Because like right now, I am laughing because you guys have folders in here called Jedi Krieger and Sith Krieger, which is still German.
Oh man. Yeah, they're in some unit
You go into Unit VO
voiceover.
Unit voiceover, I see. All right, and then
Yep.
where? XG1?
one. Yeah, that is
Here it is.
yep, that's teenage me
Hold on.
without water.
Oh my god, this is good.
Like all I did was just some audio cleanup. That's it.
Dude, this is
It sounds
weird.
imperial. But, yeah, I know. It's
Yeah, it sounds terrifying, and those things are pretty fucking terrifying when you fight against them too.
there are some pretty legendary voiceovers that have just like, yeah.
This is really, Prez, this is really good, and it sounds so weird. Oh my god, your hard point ones are hilarious.
I mean, pretty much. And like I remember how old I was when I recorded that, and like even my family didn't believe that's me.
That's really good.
So
'Cause
you
realis-
recorded. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, yeah, it basically just goes to like I recorded these. What I would do is I would go to school. I was a high school athlete. I would go through, all my sports and shit, and I just wouldn't drink water throughout the day so that I could come home and hammer out about like maybe 10 lines. So there's some variation in the lines because I did them in different days.
So you dehydrated yourself for the sake of making voice lines?
That's
That's passion.
that's how those came to be. And then what started happening was I after learning how XMLs work in a painfully slow manner, especially because I don't have very much interest in code. I'm not a huge computer guy. So it was painfully slow for me to learn all this, and a lot of stupid questions were asked. But I eventually get the XG1 coded in game. Now, I don't submit this because it was bugged and like half the audio lines didn't work and I couldn't figure out why. But because I became a mod contractor, I, I was the guy in green, and I was like the first person that was actually working on audio. And what started happening was in our Discord server, a whole bunch of people asked audio questions. So I started helping everybody else out with audio, and then people started sending me their own custom voiceovers. And the first I actually coded in the game was the Liberator Cruiser VO. Now, people give a lot of shit on that VO because I think that the filter was not done right. I had zero idea how to do any audio engineering. All the audio shit that I know now is because of AOTR, and I self-taught.
Lasers locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attack commencing.
Liberator Cruiser reporting.
Oh, Captain Shack's voiceover.
Oh, can you guys hear
No,
it?
Captain Shack is
That-
Liberation.
Yes, that's the Liberation. How that happens is
That's a cool story. Yeah.
because that one is he was having crashes with the 2.7 alpha that he was playing, and I had a solution that I had figured out. I learned that there was some batch file that we were using to launch, and it had a typo in it. And I learned that if you change the typo and like 2 other game settings, the crashing went away. I didn't know why, it just did. So
Okay.
I sent that over to Shaq, and he was really happy with that. And I was like, oh, by the way, I sent him like a couple samples of the XG1 lines because I was really proud of myself. And I was like, by the way, this is some voice work that I've done for the mod. I know you love the Venator, it's one of your favorite ships. Do you want to do the voiceover for that? And then I think Shaq actually had to confirm with Bullet that I'm legit.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe what he was just offered. So,
Yeah.
I think you
So-
actually mentioned to me at one point or another. Did we ever talk about me doing the voiceover for anything?
I
Yeah,
did.
What unit do you want?
Oh, well, you know what I
Pick
want?
one.
Let me think. I'm kind of fat.
Well, you can take about 1.5 years to think, because that's about how long it'll take me to finish.
Yeah.
okay, well, fair enough. Okay.
That's when we'll release the next version.
I think I want to do a Y-wing. I'm not gonna lie, like a Y-wing, like Elite Squadron. I've always liked the Y-wing for some reason.
You mean you don't want to be a Wookiee?
Yeah, I can just go the whole time. That's my entire voiceover right there.
Yeah, there's
Actually,
there's a lot of self inserts.
Yeah.
Voiceover wise, I'm the K-wing in this and in remake.
Really, that's you? K-wing Gumbo standing by, I think is what
Yep,
it says.
that's me.
We can't do this in Republic at War because all the clones sound like
I know.
Tamora
I know.
Morris. So we, and
That's true. You
all
don't
the
get
droids
any
have-
like unique voice lines,
No,
unless you do like the judicial forces, and you can kind of change it up with that, I guess.
Yeah, there's stuff you could.
I mean, some of the Jedi that you don't know what their voices sound like. I guess we could, mix it up.
You got to give me your best Yoda impression right now.
I am not doing that. Just, no.
Strong in the Force, you are. Yes.
There he is.
Some of them.
So, all right, Prez. So, but you created the XG1 Gumbo voiceover, and then it just kind of went uphill from there, pretty much.
Pretty much. And then if we shift into like 2.8, this is kind of where my role in the team shifts a little bit, because when 2.7 came out, it was like Maxim had come in with this new galaxy map, and there were new units and some new galactic level mechanics and a whole bunch of cool shit. And then, well, I don't know if you guys remember the ModDB post back in the day. The plan was like 2.7 was like a base version, and then 2.8 was going to be Rebels content, 2.9 was going to be like the sequel trilogy content.
Yeah, thrown out the window.
Yeah, that did not go according to plan.
Because the new sequels were not good.
We're poopy.
Yeah.
We had such high expectations.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But what ended up happening was 2.7. So where we are right now in the release cycle, just releasing 2.10, all of that was supposed to be included in the 2.7 release. that was kind
yeah.
of the plan for it.
Yeah, things got kind of like pushed back a
Well,
little
we
bit.
planned on everything has like I said when I talk with Steiner and when 2.6 came out, like all that stuff, all the way up to 2.10 and even the one we're working on now was planned way back when. It's just that the amount of effort and our team size like is on the smaller side, I think, for mods, but like that's just how long it takes. Like for us, it's taken us since 2015 or whenever 2.6 came out to like finally get to the point that we are now. And of course, learning along the way, you know, you rewrite things, you redo things because you're like, oh, this sucks. And this
Right,
didn't work.
technologies get better over
Yeah.
time. And like, there's
Well,
just
even
new
just
methods.
like you try something in the game and you find out like, this was not a good idea, or it's not done right. So then you spend time to, you know, rework it and change it. That's kind of where that I think, Prez, you were probably leading up to this, but like when we had focused more on like, instead of trying to like shove everything Star Wars into it, we should just do it like by the game mode in the game, because Empire Wars is one of those very interesting games that has technically 3 games in one.
True.
And it's like we're just gonna go by the game mode and just make it play how we want to play, how we want it to play. Because 2.7's like, I always call it I always joke, we call it the fever dream updates, because it was just this massive, like, I think even at that point, that was around the time that the debug petroglyph build had come out or something like that, or maybe it was Steam Workshop support had just landed.
What year was this?
2017 or
That
something.
was that was when they really started doing stuff for Steam. Yeah.
So every mod was on like high gear research. Like that was when it, like, I remember that point where like it all kind of culminated into like this tip of the spear sort of thing, where like you had the Shack Let's Plays, which was like, you know, bringing in like insane amounts of people to like even know what Empire War is, because I think Empire War was kind of dying up. Like Republic at War had released, and then it was just kind of fizzling. Like it was kind of dying out. Like it was becoming more niche and less supported. And
there was a lot of like just like little mods. Like you had like Old Republic at War that was around for a bit. I think Thrawn's Revenge was probably the only like full time like mod that was like kind of doing like a big thing back then. But other than that, like it was kind of stagnant.
Because that was like what, Thrawn's Revenge 2.2 was in production.
Yeah.
I
think so. Yeah.
So what breathed life into, you know, the next version of AOTR was Shaq's narrative Let's Play that he did for AOTR.
He's very good at telling stories.
Well, here's the thing. If you go back and look at that video, I think it has like 700,000 views or something insane like that. Is this like the first 5 or 6 episodes of that playthrough? They're all 6-figure view counts.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna look this up right now. Let me see.
Yeah,
even like that. I look back sometimes.
It was season 2.
I look back sometimes at that old Let's Play I did when I was developing that version of AOTR, and it was like some insane view count number. That's just like eye-opening to me. Yeah. I honestly really wish I still had time to do YouTube. I just don't. There's just no.
Yeah.
I loved playing mods and getting into it, and yeah, the whole Let's Play thing. It's a great time.
Yeah, I just
so
looked
going
at
back
his,
to it.
I just checked out his playthroughs of ours, and
they're great.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is 300,000 views.
Yeah.
Yep.
You should get Shaq on here, honestly. Another great.
If I could, I would love to.
We are actually watching his playthroughs has inspired me to create changes to the mod to block certain play styles that I did not like watching him do. It actually pissed me off watching some of the.
You're using Shaq as a mobile nerfing tool.
Right, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to make these changes to prevent this from happening, and I'm going to do this to prevent this from happening.
Don't make the mistake that we made because of the Shaq video. I'm not going to go
careful.
too into this, But because of his Shaq video, so we valued Shaq's opinion a lot. Like, we value his opinion a lot. I talk with him directly a lot. And what happened was when 2.9 came out, he decided to do the full campaign against all factions, and he was going to go fight the Black Sun. Well, with how our galaxy map is set up, the Black Sun kind of serves as a buffer between the rebels and the Empire, kind of like you're going to fight the weaker of the three factions, so that the Empire has space to build up, so that when you fight the Empire, it feels like you're fighting the Empire, you know?
Yeah.
And, well, what was happening was that Shaq was getting his ass handed to him by the criminals because he didn't know how to fight them. And as, you know, Bullet and Maxim had been teaching the AI how to be better and better and better, they actually knew how to use their ships.
Yeah, we went a little overboard, we realized. There is a point where you can make the AI good enough that they can beat the average player, and that's when we realized, like, oh crap, we may have crossed. Like, we've been scaling it down ever since, because we're just like, we can actually make it almost. I mean, the joke was always that our AI was Skynet, but like, I mean, yeah, you can push the AI in this game pretty crazy. It's actually one of the best AIs I've ever worked with in video games, which is a huge. I mean, of course, the people that develop EAW are the legends themselves. You know, like they're from.
Command and Conquer.
Yeah, what's the studio name?
Westwood Studios.
Yeah, Westwood Studios.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are RTS legends. And I mean, to be honest, like, with all, even just on a technical level, I think Empire at War, the game engine itself, is probably, I mean, the fact that Remake can exist, like,
Yeah.
is mind-blowing. Like, this is a game engine from 2006. It is an in-house engine. Like, they made that. They licensed some of the, like, 3D rendering software, but, like, it's all in-house. Like, this is a game engine that runs what are we in, 2023, and we're pulling like 4K graphics on Remake on some of those ships and backgrounds. Like, it's insane. Like,
Well,
this is a game engine that honestly could be it could be a platform for RTS games. For like, it could be the source engine for RTS games. If they put more like development time.
Well, the universe at War is the Alamo engine, like, enhanced, right? I mean, it would be better if PG would pop out and actually take that engine and make EAW on that.
But the whole thing is such a spaghetti mess, and I mean, we could actually talk about this in another episode, but like the whole Empire War engine, and I don't want to speak because I had met the Petroglyph people in person and talked to them, and but they have a whole thing, and I don't want to like reveal anything because like it's probably all confidential anyways. But there's a lot of reasons that Empire War is not being updated more than it is.
Well, yeah, they've told us that though. I mean, dude, they told us that back when we released Republic at War, and we were getting like messages from them about like, hey, I mean, we really wish we could have given you guys more, but you know, you understand that we're not able to. There are things that are hard coded into the engine that didn't need to be, but it had to be because of business considerations and not coding considerations. And look, LucasArts, you know, even back then, they don't really care about modding, right? Like, even now, the model for gaming is
live service.
Those loot boxes, cloud-based, and DLC content.
Modding,
right.
Modding and modern game development are at odds with each other because and essentially modding is just season out, like the live content updates, except obviously for free. So how can you compete with free, right? So obviously,
it's like one of those curious cases with like and I don't mean to cut you off. It's It's like one of those curious cases with like Roblox right now. They have a Call of Duty-esque
Yes.
mode called Frontlines, and when
God,
you look at the
about Roblox.
gameplay for that, it literally looks like a classic Call of Duty just with more modern mechanics
Yeah.
and more of a faster
There's-
move speed.
There's
It's-
definitely like a gray area in these sorts of games where like even Empire at War, where like technically the developer's still making money on it, but they're really only making money on it because people are working for them for free through like mods and other stuff that, you know, wasn't originally like if that didn't exist, the game would have been in the, you know, the history vault locker for and never spoken of again, you know.
I mean, Steam has to pay. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, bullshit you and pretend that I know what's in those contracts, but I do know enough about the industry to know that, you know, Steam has to pay money to PG and to LucasArts. I mean, just to keep that game on their library. So clearly, money is going across. I mean, look, they're charging $20, and we know people that are still buying those keys. I mean, every single day. I mean, there's people out there buying that.
Yeah.
So,
And there's people legitimately being like, I bought this because I wanted to play Republic at War and or
Yeah.
AOTR,
Yep.
Thrawn's Revenge, like, or remake, like,
dude,
or any other mod, like, you know, that like it is selling copies, so it's like,
I saw some guy in Reddit posting screenshots of like vanilla, and I'm like, who the fuck even plays vanilla? Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's
It was
like,
what?
dude,
Was
you
it
know
his
this
first
mod,
time like
right?
playing?
I read the comment and it was like, I wish that it was a Clone Wars thing, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
take your pick.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
Endless.
come on. Like,
Jesus, man.
I mean, the engine could have been less locked down, but we were told
It's
that,
very open. This is one of the most open games.
dude, there's things that did not have to be locked down that are
Sure.
locked down, like number of like actual like some of the faction stuff that's
Yeah.
locked down. It didn't have to be, but they made it that way on purpose, right? Certain types of damages are locked down, and they didn't need to be, and some of that stuff was done on purpose because they were told to do it. Like they had no choice. Same with the map editor, right? Like, why are some of those features removed?
Because they
Right.
don't. It's licensed, yeah.
Yep.
Well, that, and they were told that they didn't want the community to have some of those features because you could do things like the animation thing would have been huge, right? Like that's how they got a lot of those cutscenes, right? Is using that animation feature within the editor. So you can't do that now unless you've got some crazy compositing and animation skills in Max or Maya to do that. Whereas the editor had a built-in feature to do that. How cool is that?
Right. Yeah, but I mean, even so, the game is super. I mean, there's honestly even a point now where it's just like I don't even know what to add to the game because I feel like it's been tapped to its limit.
Look, I don't know how much RTS you guys play, but I will tell you that there are plenty of RTSs out there that are more open.
Oh
Than,
sure.
You know, I mean, like for example, Men of War, like that engine.
Yes.
Um,
I mean, but that's essentially a sandbox.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got games like, you know, like Total War, where Sega has been like really incredibly generous with the modding community, right? I mean, you know, but Empire at War, yeah. I mean, those are new games, and this is old. So, and PG still giving support it's incredible.
It's
Those
nuts.
guys, you know, and they don't have to do that stuff. So, I mean, they're dipping into their own times and pockets, you know, and to release some of this stuff, which is nice. I like that.
As
Well,
well.
since you bring up Men of War, Jay, I'm gonna do you a favor and bring this back on topic for you.
Ha.
Um,
Go
where
ahead, man.
Jay took it
Where
all
the-
out talking about Roblox. I mean, good God.
Hey, man. Roblox is incredible. All right, we're
Oh my
derailing
God.
again.
So, where this comes back is kind of where my role in the team kind of switches a little bit, is with the release of 2.0 or the development cycle of 2.8. So, Bullet was talking earlier about how, you know, just certain things you can plan and write them down, but then when you implement them into the game, it kind of sucks, or not knowing how to do something. So, for ground rework, we knew that ground combat sucked and that we needed to have a way to make it better. And what kept happening was ideas just kept being thrown around, implemented, and just not working. My favorite was when we had ranges like incredibly high, and like AT-AT drop it in from one and shoot buildings on the other side of the map.
That's awesome.
So
Not
just
as fun as you think it is.
yeah, it was one of those things where it was like great concept. It doesn't
Executed poorly.
My God.
So what started happening was during this time there were some people in our community that I would play Men of War Assault Squad 2 with, and there's 2 mods that I found a way to stack, and it was World War, which was like a multiplayer tournament type mod that kind of rebalanced the game entirely and added like 6 new factions.
Right.
And then Rob's realism mod. Now, what
I'm not familiar with that one.
basically, instead of health bars on units, you know, if a penetrating shot hit a tank, it's gonna explode.
Yeah.
But
I always
Yeah.
like the ultimate realism mod for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so then what I started doing was I was like, okay, Star Wars is just World War II in space. Battlefront was so successful because it's just a Battlefield game with a Star Wars skin over it.
Right.
Why don't we make a World War II ground RTS with a Star Wars skin over it? And this is how 2.8 happens. So
Okay.
I sat down and I wrote this like ridiculously long document that was a not very well defined set of instructions on how we should do ground combat. And this document kind of served as our guidepost for development for 2.8. And well, as you can see with all the YouTube videos and everything that went up around 2.8's release, it worked. Making a World War II style game with a Star Wars skin over it was more engaging than trying to, you know, shove all the Star Wars content in. Which
Okay.
is why we have things like, you know, blaster machine guns, having them not being
I
able
was
to...
wondering about that.
Yeah, and that's just where it comes from, because, you know, in the real world, if there was a, you know, like a Panzer IV, you're not killing that with a machine gun. Why?
Well, the Polish could do it with a bottle of vodka and some fucking
Well, that's
Molotovs.
Yeah, that's the type of combat that kind of made it into the game, because if you can see, like, our low tier infantry, like if you look at the rebels, our low tier infantry, you know, the design's based off of World War II partisans. Because, you
I
know,
can see
you
that.
get close, you throw a concussion grenade, something specific to debuff vehicles. And that allows either someone else to be able to knock out the vehicle quicker, or if you have rockets in that squad, they're going to do more damage to dispatch the vehicle. But it's one of those things where it's like, for that to be effective, you have to get up close. And looking at things like, you know, the German army, we essentially made that into the Imperial playstyle. The US army, we made that into the Rebel playstyle, and the Russians, we made into the Black Sun playstyle.
I'm gonna
And,
I'm gonna look at this so differently moving forward into the future with any other like future playthroughs of things I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at this so differently.
Well, you'll see some things like going back through versions, like we had things named howitzer because, you know, that's what we were making. We were making a howitzer, but didn't have a Star Warsy name for it at the time. And we, you know, like we have things internally named, like, you know, at one point we had like light AT gun, heavy AT gun, ATGM, like, you know, things like that.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, to give
That's
us some
what-
kind of naming convention that made some level. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Well, no. Like, it just internally, that's what we were calling them, and then we kind of gave Star Wars names for them later. Like, we just replaced the word AT gun with laser cannon. So then you have light laser cannon, heavy, like, laser cannon was just your anti-tank weapon. That was the code that we used for it. Particle cannon is your howitzer, your mobile artillery. And what we did was, as time progressed, we wanted to show era progression in the game and wanted to essentially showcase that as different eras. Like, the New Republic era is going to go to post-World War II, early to mid-Cold War era stuff, which is why we introduce a lot more capabilities and things and more weapon systems on units that are in that era later. That's why, MLRS type systems are more common and blah, 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 which, it fits into a lore thing, because honestly, there's so much Star Wars lore, you could pull a vehicle out of your ass for any role for any era.
Okay.
But, when someone will ask things like, hey, why is vehicle X not being put into the game? Well, it might fit lore-wise, but it might not fit gameplay-wise. Like,
I feel like that's kind of a thing with a lot of mods too, though. Like, there's so many units that are missing from like certain mods, but if it doesn't fit the style of play that the mod is like kind of going for, it doesn't work. It just does not like work on paper, unfortunately.
We hear from a lot of fans that say that the one thing they don't want is what's known as unit bloat, right? Like,
yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of mods do have what I would consider to be bloat. Like, it's this ridiculous amount of units, and some of which are multiple redundant. Like, it's just, and I get that sometimes it's player choice and it's kind of fun and there's a reason for it, but at some point you have to just say enough, right? I mean, we don't do that, like, and we're not going to do that. And in fact, some of our devs on the team have made us promise that they don't want to work on a project that's going to have bloat like that, and if we're going to do it, they're not going to work on it. And I can respect that, and because that's not what I want to do either. Like there needs to be a limit of what there is, and at some point some of the stuff just seems kind of silly, right? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, we don't want for us, I don't want every clone legion ever, right? I mean, there's just or every Jedi, right? There's
or Darth Maul with robot legs.
Right? No, we're not going to do that, right? I mean, look,
that's a classic part of Star Wars.
There's heroes like right now that fans want that I have never wanted to put into our project, but we're probably going to.
Oh man!
Like, no, not fucking Jar Jar. It's not going to happen, right? But no, like Padme, for example, right? Like, I see no purpose for her at all, but yet people really want her, right? And so we have to figure out a way to like get her into the into the mod, right? Like how. But if we're gonna do it, let's not do it half-assed. Let's do it right, Yeah. So make it work, make it fit. I like what you guys were saying about, realism and whatnot. But hey, honestly though, at the end of the day, this has to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And not every player though does want that realism, right? Like, they just don't want that. Some just want fun. But I do think there's enough fans out there where every mod can have its own play style, and those fans can pick and choose which they want, and for us, that's not our style of play. Like, our style of play is more for the casual guy who wants that Clone Wars experience. They can pick up the mod and they can play and have a great time. And then you've got other great mods that are out there like AOTR that are a little bit more intense when it comes to the background and the data and the ships and the realism, and if people want that, they can play that and they can enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely view it as like a scale, right?
Yep.
Of like, and what to your point of like adding a bunch of units, like I remember us saying that too, and now we're at 200 units or some crazy crap, and it's just like I've had to make a lot of concessions too. Like, it's interesting when you like, I think our team dynamic is interesting, because talking about like, I guess like wrapping up the AOTR like storyline is like, we're very like our team is very much like a conglomeration of roles. Like nobody is like the programmer or the artist or the sound person. Like Prez is like 5 things in one. You know, everybody is a bit of everything, and so it's always been this like sort of everyone has to like make a little bit of concessions. Like one person, you know, like we were all more or less aligned on the trajectory, but I think some of the coolest stuff that has been added to the game has just come out of like left wing. Somebody's just like, I just want to put this in, and so we did. Like beasts in the Hut faction. Like we were joking, we're like, we're never gonna do this, but then we just like we just did it. We just put it in. We're like, what does this play like? And then we found that it was so much fun that we're just like, this would be stupid for us not to put in, even though it's so outlandish. So it's just like sometimes, like Zarok said, it's like sometimes you have to realize that it is a game, and sometimes you have to realize that like sometimes you want the gameplay, but sometimes you also need to have that like coolness factor of like, no, this is just cool Star Wars shit that you just put in because it's cool.
I forgot about the beast thing you guys did. You guys are using my bull rancor I did. That's
Yeah.
I saw that in there. I was like, that's mine.
Yeah, that was yep.
But yeah, that was fun to make. And by the way, we wanted to do that too, like add all those like those fauna, all those animals.
Yeah.
You know,
Because that's
So-
part of Star Wars. We realized too. We were like, you know, in every Star Wars movie, there's like a beast or like something that they fight or some weird creature planet thing, and it's just like, you know, why shouldn't beasts be in a RTS Star Wars game? Like it's obviously part of the Star Wars
There's
magic.
a lot more to the universe than just
Than
a
just-
bunch of ships and a bunch
yeah,
of vehicles, right?
A bunch
I
of
mean,
Venators.
Oh yeah, I mean, look,
Yep.
we're working on Umbara right now, right? And,
Oh, dude,
you
that's
know,
one of
so,
the best.
So
Yeah.
all of like, you know, most of the team is like, okay, so how are we gonna make this, right? And the idea was, okay, well, first off, it's got to look right, right? So I sat down and me and some of the guys started working on props, right? And a lot of them are done, and I shared some images with Jay, and he was like, oh wow, you know, it's looking really good, right? But one of the things we have to add, like this is coming from like the whole team, and I've started working on it, is that man-eating monster thing that like eats some of the clones, that like plant thing that like has tentacles and grabs those guys, like I think it's called the Vixa or the Vexa or whatever. Yeah, the Vivix or whatever it's called. We're actually making that. I mean, and it's like, if I'm gonna put the effort into this planet, like let's do it, right? And that's something else too, is that each one of these worlds, you know, are unique, right? Like Onderon, Umbara, you know, they all look a certain way, and we want them to do that way. So we will spend a ridiculous amount of time making props, right? Like, in fact, I think we have more props in our mod than we do actual units. But I've also noticed that every single mod team, and I mean this hands down, you open up every mod team's work, and our props are, or maybe not all, but some of our props are in their mods, right? Which tells me that it's we did it, so now they can use it, and I feel kind of like humbled that other teams are using all that stuff. You know, that it's good enough to be in, you know, AOTR's project and you know, FOTR, and it's good enough to be in Remake. You know, that makes me feel good. So
Yeah.
but
Republic at War was always I remember like Mechas 3,
Mm-hmm.
like just
That map
just
was
having
incredible.
the droids walk around. Like you guys always did really cool stuff. Even just the concept of like, if I kill a civilian, I lose money, which is just like, where the heck? Like, okay. I mean, it was a really neat idea. Don't get me wrong. Like, and
It was
there's
a neat
tons of
idea
cool
until it
stuff.
started counting for when the AI killed them, like on the other side, and it took
well,
it
you
took
can
the money out of your pool.
you can fix that.
Well, yeah, but the point of that was that, look, the Confederacy is evil, right? Like, they're the bad guys technically, and the Republic are supposed to be the good guys, right? So if you're the Republic, you're the government, and you know, when you go to some planet and there's a battle and there's all this damage, I always imagine it like how the U.S. Army was in Iraq. Like, you know, they're running around with guys with checks, just writing checks to pay for all this damage, right? You know, I mean, because that's exactly. I mean, but that's how it was. I mean, like I've heard, you know, I've friends that served over there, and they were like, yeah, like we had a public relations unit that would like follow around and they'd go, be like, here, what does this cost? Our tank damaged this car, or the insurgents did, and we blew up your building. How much, what's it going to cost? I like that idea, and and that was something that came out of a joke too. Like, hey, like what if we started charging for civilian deaths, And I wanted to have civilians running around, not tons, right? But there should be some, right?
Well, it makes the world feel breathable, like it's
right.
like it's real, like people actually live on this planet. It's not just a barren wasteland with a battlefield.
Oh yeah, and what is Mechas, right? It's a giant. The whole planet is one big droid factory. So I figured if we're gonna make this map, it should be spawning endless levels of droids, right? I mean, that just come at you, and that's why we did that.
Yeah, we definitely took a lot of inspiration from not just your mod, but all other. I mean, I think it's just really cool to see, like you said, people riffing on each other's ideas. I don't consider it stealing. I honestly rather people share and collaborate and make cool stuff, because like I'm a fan of every like mod. Like I used to be not a developer but a player of mods, and now I just develop. But I'm always just like, man, I just want to hop on and like see what people are up to. I don't have much time anymore to like really dive into a lot of the mods that I used to, but there's still stuff that pops up that like inspires me and being like, man, that's such a cool system in their game. Like I'd like to try it and have it in ours and see what we could do with it and stuff like that. I also too, I consider it a compliment when I see people like trying to, like, even when Remake was doing their ground combat overhaul, I was like, man, this is so cool. I remember playing it. I was like they took a lot of our infantry and vehicle assets and stuff like that, and to spearhead their ground overhaul, and just seeing like the stuff they did with like all the troop companies and like all this cool stuff, was like, wow, that's like our stuff but the next level. And I was like, man, that's so cool. In a way, I was like, I wish I had thought of that when I made but it's awesome. It's awesome.
It is awesome. When I jumped back into this, it's like, okay, I've been away a while. I've missed quite a bit, it seems, So I downloaded the biggest mods immediately, when I just started playing with them, and really started tearing them apart, because I've always learned that way. Always learned that way. I want to see the models. I want to import them. I want to see the code, right? I want to look at stuff. And I was pretty impressed, and it's become apparent that, obviously our project being so old, our big release was back in 2011, and we put out some small updates, but nothing, like everything's pretty much as it was back in 2011. We have a lot of catching up to do, but you and Remake are definitely the bar, right? And I've told our team that, like, they are the bar, right? Like, so all we can do is aspire to do better, right? Not as like a pithy challenge. It's just, I'm saying that, like, hey, like we're gonna be at your level, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna try to be better. But it's not as a challenge. It's just like my goal is to have things look as best as possible. So
yeah.
So not to interject on this here. So I don't know if you're Xerox. If you're up to, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna call you Xerox, man. That's
fine, do what you gotta do.
I don't know if you're up to date on like the conversations that I've had with Anakin in the past. Essentially, when I did my sound effect overhaul and did my sound design thing, I had no idea what I was doing when it came to my audio engineering. Because Republic at War had a really good sound design basis, when I started remixing and redoing audio files, I started with using your guys'. Obviously, I asked permission from Anakin beforehand, and the thing that I had told Anakin was that when I'm done with my sound effect overhaul, Republic at War can have any sound effect for me that you want.
Oh, nice.
So I am basically making sure that you're aware of it, because I'm going to offer you 25 gigs of sound effects.
Well, that will come in handy.
Jesus.
I will tell you, now Jay knows this. I don't know what's going on our team-wise, but as we grow, like, it's ridiculous right now. I think we have about 21 members on the team right now, and it's still growing. We actually have 2 voice actors, and we have an actual composer, a music composer. Some of them audio stuff coming out is insane, right? But we will definitely take whatever you're offering. Believe me. I mean, Remake and Jerome are, have been really cool about offering stuff, and even the Farseer has donated some of his commission stuff to us, which is wow, thank you, bro. But yeah, this is great. I'm glad you and Anakin got along like that. I noticed in your credits, you credit Anakin for stuff, and I'm like, he didn't make that. Damn it, I didn't make that. Anakin's not.
Oh yeah,
it was just I remember reading that. I'm like, Anakin.
It's hard to get people's permissions when they're not in the community anymore. But
dude, my
it's rough.
I want to interject really quick because we're actually about to hit the 2-hour mark in a second too.
This is how I feel about permissions, real quick, right? If you're good, if you guys are good, right? I see your work. I've seen your contributions to the community. I would never have any problem sharing or loaning, lending, whatever, right? But there are people out there that are not like that, and I would definitely have a problem with them using my work because they don't give back, right? Or it's done for some ulterior purpose that I don't like, right? But you guys, Remake, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say from what I've heard from my own team members and from what I've seen. So, dude, use whatever, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
My only thing though is that there are some assets that were done by people that are not active on the team anymore, and I don't want those people to be forgotten. So if there is an asset that's being used and one of those people had their name on it, I just like their name to get out there still.
No, for sure. Yeah.
It's the same thing that I ask is, if you're gonna, just if you're using my sounds, just note that they come from me.
Yeah.
Make sure you credit.
Those
Please.
XG1 sounds are so wild. I wish I could use them somehow, but there's nothing in Republic at War that could use. I love those sounds, by the way. I've just played them again. I'm like, oh my god, these sound so good.
Well, if you guys need AI help or anything, you can always feel free to just rip things from our code. I don't care.
Yeah, we have. Have you? I think you guys know Psionic, right? Who's working with us on the AI stuff, and
No,
us.
I don't know him. No.
Oh,
Would it be mildly appropriate that we save the actual development stuff like this in a more of a private discustion if that's okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
That way we kind of stay on subject just a little bit.
We just kicked Jay off his own show.
Yeah.
No, you're really fine. But I definitely think that kind of discussion isn't really. I know some people out there are gonna enjoy it, but I definitely think we should probably have that in the more private talk for sure.
I know Jay's I don't know those people.
I love how Jay is we're 2 hours in and we've gotten through one question, and it's how did you
I know. I know. Well,
it's fine. It happens a lot. Derailing this is the derail podcast at this point.
Wait, this is not my fault though, Jay. All right, you can't come at me for derailing. I did not do this. I sat here quietly.
I say it's a universal issue because we drew president's poor president, man. It took him probably a solid 50 minutes to get his response out.
Well, it's also because I'm trying to condense I don't know how many years of AOTR lore or whatever into an hour, but every time Prez brings something up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that happened.
Dude, it's 16 years.
I know.
Hey man, all right.
You need a part 2 or something. You need to bring Steiner on here and have
part 2, part 3, part 4. I mean, look, last episode the same thing happened. I felt bad for Rizian because he's a real quiet guy, and me and Arvis are just ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
Talking back and forth. Jay's I can't get a word in here, and poor Rizian's just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, that at the end of the day, I still regardless enjoy here the development cycles. I just didn't want to dive too hard into the the private discussion
of course,
what pieces of are shared between everyone. Did we cover everything, by the way? I know we said we were going to do a brief myths section, a bit of a joke section.
The myths,
did we cover that already?
God. The legends.
Or do we want to save that for part 2? Because it sounds like we're gonna need a part 2.
Oh, you
Well-
mean just have the three of us back on for a part 2?
Yeah.
You need a part 2 for AOTR's history, probably. But I
Yeah.
mean, but their history ties into all of EAW history.
Yeah,
which
it's
is,
all
like,
one big
There's a lot.
patch.
Dude, there's
AOTR
so
great.
much. Dude,
Because-
Jay is only pierced, like he's only gotten like the skin, like not even the
Yeah.
skin,
The
like,
skin.
yeah, right, just the very top level of the dermis has been pierced right now. Like that's it.
That's a good
There's
way to
so
look at
much.
it.
There's 16 years of history, man.
So,
Okay.
all right. In that case, then I think that's probably what we're gonna end up doing. So we could probably like in this episode on a high note. I think what we'll do is, because our next set of guests are supposed to be Jaron and Nico. I know we wanted to bring them back, or well, we
Yeah,
can't really get Nico. Nico's kind of hard to get.
It's Jerome and Casperdan. is gonna
Okay,
be-
okay, it's gonna Jaron and Cass. Okay,
And so also, by the way, the Farseer has agreed to come on, which would be nice. So he's
true. Okay, so we've got a nice little guest list kind of going.
Oh yeah.
I think what we're gonna probably end up doing is, and this is just for the people out there so they know kind of what to expect in the coming future. I think the next episode we'll bring back the LTR guys a little bit so we can cover a little bit more history, and I'll make sure we kind of focus a little bit more on the actual history of some things, so we just kind of stay on subject with things. And then after that, we'll do our guest list as follow with Jaron and Cass, and then whoever else pretty much after that. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
keep trying to bug Steiner to get on here, and Wolf and Maxim, because honestly, like, you need to hear from the Germans of a Steiner modding group. Like, you're not gonna,
You're
it's
not
almost
gonna get-
like, yeah.
Yeah.
You
I,
just
I,
have
I
to.
remember like engaging with Steiner like maybe a handful of times back then, and it was always done through like not email, but like on some forum somewhere where,
Yes, one of your ancient
Yeah.
text
Yeah.
devices.
and it was like always some foreign language forum. Like and like some of the German forums were weird. It's like you had secret handshakes to get in or something. I couldn't even read like what the hell like what is this forum? It was like Star Trek, half Star Wars.
Yes, because because Wolf worked on the Stargate. It's Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was a cool mod, by the way. That Stargate mod.
It really is. There's even more cool stuff in there.
Yeah, there's
that are,
there's
like-
some mechanics in there that we need.
Yeah,
I've
mean-
never played it. Is it actually like worth a playthrough? I don't know much about
Mhm.
Stargate.
It is.
Yeah. Yes. Next new playthrough.
It is very unique, and the only other thing kind of like it that like I had the Farseer had that Halo mod going for a while, and that was
Oh,
like
I've been trying to
incredible.
resurrect that with him for the longest time,
I know.
since even almost as long as AOTR. It has been. Yeah. I
mean,
need a Halo mod in my life badly.
It was really
Everybody does. Everybody
It was
does.
really- it was really cool though back then, seeing some of those projects that were not just Star Wars based, like doing that,
Yeah.
But and then a lot of that stuff just fizzled out too. Like I mean, Jeff just gave up on the Halo stuff just because life. You had to make money and.
And he
but,
had Rise of the Mandalorians, which
he
I don't
did,
know.
he did.
I don't know how some people can do 2 mods. Like one mod is like I'm already maxed out. I like whenever I see Corey, it's just like, yes, we're doing the Thrawn's Revenge, and then we're doing Fall of the Republic. We're also modding a different game, and then also we're gonna do Revens. I'm just like,
And
My
don't
mind-
forget, he's doing
my mind-
like a early Galactic Civil War mod too. That's like before
Imperial
yeah.
Reign.
Yep, Imperial Reign. Yep.
Oh my god. I know that Raw took about close to 5 years to do. I did 80% of it myself, right? And I wrote at the end, like in the credits, I think I put, I will never do a project like this again. Like it's just all consuming. And by the way, dude, I was working back then on that project. Like there were spurts where I was working 15-hour days on the mod. Like I would just sit. I'd have Monster and Hot Pockets and just sit at my desk and just work.
yeah.
But now, I mean, it's like I can't do that. I mean, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. Maybe 3 hours, 4 hours a night, and I'm still beat. But imagine how long that would take to do all that, doing it only a couple of hours here and there. It would take 20 years.
Yep.
It has taken 20 years.
So, I mean,
Pretty
well,
much 3 years. 3 years from now, it'll be 20 years of
Yep.
Empire War.
well, no, I mean,
of
some
AOTR.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Burnt Strobe's Vong mod. That thing literally like it hung around for what, like 16 years, 17 years, and then finally it just died. You know, I mean, one project being worked on for set like that long. Like, holy
Poor-
crap!
Pour one out for Yuzan Vong at War.
I know, like, but just
Pour
and
one out for Cad Vanku, bro.
Yeah.
that was probably the longest mod I saw developed, like continuously with no major release. I think had to be the Vong mod.
Yeah, that was
That's
definitely a situation in its own right.
Yeah, but
definitely,
Another
you
episode.
definitely need to like, yeah. You also have to.
the
That
content
that
though,
is the
it was-
definition of developer hell, where like you don't release, like you have to at least aim towards releases. I think is also, I think that's also something that we've been good at. Why there's always like a 2.9 and a 2.10, and then like I said, that we planned, like if we were to legitimately like plan out AOTR, like we've had what we want to do now next, the New Republic stuff has been in plan since like 2015, but like if we were just sit there and not release anything, the motivation would be like dead. I don't think we would have, like,
No,
you
we
know,
wouldn't.
you have to like bite size it to
That's
which
what we're
is,
doing.
I highly recommend that strategy, because not only that, but like you're sitting there like sitting and being and balancing things, or like is this fun? Like you're playing your own mod, you're so deep in it that like you come out and you release something and everyone's like, this is horse shit, like, or it's like this doesn't play good at all, and it's just like releasing something and getting that instant like feedback, like with the Shack vids, or like, you know, like the community and your Discord or whatever. People are just gonna play it, get their hands on it, and be like, I don't like this, or I like that, or da 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 da. You would never. It would take you 5 years of just sitting there playing it, and that's time you're not developing. You know, so it's like.
You know what's funny? I never developed that way because I never played my mod really. I mean, seriously. I mean, the most I've ever played Republic at War is just in the last 6 months. I mean, it's the most I've ever played it. I hated testing, right? So what I would do is I would make changes, like, and as long as it worked, I'd fire it up to make sure it worked, and then I would get the updated file over to our testing team back then, and they would play it. And they would take like screenshots and they would tell me and like give me notes on things to change or whatever. But I just, you know, I don't like, that's the one aspect I didn't like, right, was doing that. But now I am doing that. But we are doing that agile release style, right, where it's like bite size, manageable releases, not these big mega things that take 3 years to develop. So our goal is to do a release a quarter, right? And we're getting close to that. I mean, we have so much content saved that was never released. I mean, it's insane what's done, right? I mean, actually, our big bottleneck right now is actually mapping. I mean, that's the bottleneck, mapping, which never used to be a bottleneck for us. So, but that's where it is, and I agree with you totally, man. Like, these bite-sized pieces are a lot more manageable than these big, mega updates.
Yeah. Before we sign off, I want to do one last shout out though for like our team, which is the unsung heroes of all the tester, the community. Like you said, like
Let's give them a round of applause.
there's so much stuff that they've either caught or like given feedback on that, you know, it would have never, like I would have never noticed or whatever. Even in the beginning, like even like Prez, when you weren't even actually physically developing the game, like it's such a help to just have somebody that like interacts with the community or like handles all the, you know, like the sound effects or just the, you know, like it, like the teamwork aspect of it. Honestly, this is the AOTR team is the best team I've ever worked on ever with for any project. Like it's the highlight. I think, you know, I work in the games industry now, but like modding Empire War will always, there'll be nothing that ever reaches this experience ever, no matter what. I don't think so. I've tried to, you know, reach that high, I would say, but it's never gonna. I don't think there's anything in the world that will.
Totally agree, man.
Even when I stop developing, I'll look back and I'll just be like, oh, I'll remember these years.
Dude, I used to, hey, I was that guy, right? I was looking back and I was like, man, I miss these guys. Like, some of the greatest people I've met have come out of this community. I mean, like, Warbnall is a great guy, right? Older guy, you know, just incredibly talented. Our whole team, I've said this before, Jay's heard it many times from me, but I am humbled by the guys on our team. I really, like, this is one of the best teams I've ever had. And by the way, every single person from those old days, Bullet, we have everybody back. Everybody, except one guy.
Awesome.
One guy is missing, all right? And I've made it my mission to track this guy down, but everybody's back, right? So, you know, and by the way, I mean, like, they're back because they can't, well, you know, they all like Star Wars, but a lot of them have said, like, hey, man, you know, we missed working with you. Like, that makes me, like, wow. You know, like, that's where I say I'm humbled, where it's because they want to be a part of this, and they want to be around me and around the project and around the team. And we have some very, very incredibly talented people on both sides, man. On with you guys and with us and with Remake. These are some of the coolest chill guys I've met, as far as and talented. I mean, it's not just a bunch of glad handing over here. I mean, it really is some really good talent. So
yeah, I think my favorite moments, it's not even about developing a mod anymore. It's the nights that we're just on, like, just streaming the game as a team and just laughing and, like, watching Maxim play the dev build and just watching him. It's just, yeah, it's not even, I don't even care anymore about releasing a mod or whatever. It's like, it's
We're just
so
having
far.
fun.
I know, it's so far beyond that. So
I'll do some Twitch streams occasionally, like, where I'll just, like, you know, like, mess around with the dev build, and like, some fans will jump on, and it's always fun to, like.
Do you have a Twitch channel? Anyways, whatever. We're probably gonna go over more, but I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. No, but yeah,
Jay's gonna get mad. We're never gonna be allowed on the show again.
I know.
Yeah.
Jay's like,
I'm getting a little hungry.
He's like,
Yeah.
I know. Dude,
One thing
come on.
just to clarify before
He wants
we
his
sign off.
smoothie. Okay, don't interfere with the guy and his smoothies.
So just to clarify this, I know it was touched on earlier. I am not in charge of AOTR. I am not the team leader. I am not Corey.
Who is in charge? Like, I don't even know who like.
I
you
guess
guys
it
have
would
a leader.
Technically Bullet.
But it's
like-
technically me now, because Steiner doesn't have the time to lead to me he is always going to be the leader of the group known as Steiner Modding Group. I think I just have time. So, and since I, you know, restarted the project, I guess the team considers me as a leader, although I've never, like, been like it. To me, it's like I said before, it was more like a round table.
Yeah,
because I don't.
Different. We all kind of have different, you know, level of expertise.
I'm the leader in the way that I manage our Perforce server and keep it all together and keep the Discord together. That's like my executive privilege. It's my name's on some of these things, and that's really it.
As far as the internet's concerned, I'm the leader because I'm the one that speaks publicly.
Oh, okay. So you're the face of AOTR.
I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm the silent coder, I guess. I've
That's a
never
good
been
way
good
to
with I've never been good with community, like, interaction. Like, I don't have the time for it is the problem. I wish I could. I try my best. I don't have the time to do, like, Twitch streams or any of that anymore. So
Yeah,
it's
you're kind of like
sucks.
Anakin, and, like, Anakin is, like, you know, he doesn't like all that public stuff, you know.
yeah.
So, I mean, like, I asked Warb to get on here and do this, and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He's like, that's not my thing. He's like, that's more your thing. He's like, I don't even have a microphone. I'm like, really? He's like, nah. So
Oh,
he
well,
just
one
wants to
day.
be in
One day we'll
I
try,
know.
maybe.
Dude,
Maybe.
I mean, unless we show up at the guy's house, I mean, like, I just don't see that happening. You know, like,
Right.
knock on his door. We're here to interview you.
Little TV crew shows up.
Yeah.
Catch him in his bathrobe in the morning.
Hey, look, Jay brought you a smoothie all the way from America.
You're not gonna let that one go, are you?
Oh no, dude.
Some Someday we'll arrange a conference where everyone shows up.
Dude, got German dreadnoughts and banana smoothies.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point to probably end on a good note. I think we got a lot of nice, fun information out for people today, and just had some good laughs in the process.
CDs?
CDs, yes.
CDs.
That's going to be the highlight of the whole video. But that is going to be the end of this for me and the AOTR guys. For the people that are watching this, I really do hope that you enjoyed our, what is this, the second episode or third episode? Third episode of the Modcast podcast, technically, I guess you could say, season 2. I tried to do this like a couple of years ago and just fell off of it. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like on it. Obviously, go join their Discords if you're not a part of the ALTR Republic at War Discords already, or if you're not in my Discord. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, I do have a Patreon down below, because YouTube sucks. So thank you for watching, and we will see you guys all later. Feel free to say goodbye if you guys want to.
See you guys.
Later. It's been
Later.
great.